Hello students, welcome to Recital Plus, your syllabus aligned current affairs session. My name is Harshit Johari. Today we will not be just reading news but decoded for you. For better understanding, we will be helping you with some of the practice questions so that you can understand the article and you can see what are the expected questions that could be asked in your examination. In this way, you will be able to revise your recital in the most efficient and time-bound manner. Okay. The major themes that we'll be discussing today are economics, summits and organization, defense and security, environment and geography, and also awards, personalities in news. Let's start with the economics first, and these are the articles that will be take up one by one. First, we'll be starting with Navachar Mantra. What is this all about? So it is an initiative of Ministry of Skill Development Entrepreneurship. Okay, what they are trying to do, they just want to promote entrepreneurship, but targeted areas are tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? Because government want to promote the grassroots level of entrepreneurship, so they are picking up tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Okay, they have also highlighted some of the major areas, for example, agri-tech, edtech and skilling, okay, and sustainability, climate sustainability, rural commerce. So basically, there are some of the major themes that government will be picking up in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, and now they will be trying to promote the grassroots level of entrepreneurs over there. How it would be happening? First of all, person has to submit a proposal. All right. This proposal would be then evaluated based on the potential. High potential, there's a high potential ideas, then they would be connected with the government agencies for support, academy expert, and also with the industries. All right, these three are required: government for policy support, academia for required knowledge, and industries maybe for the capital purposes. Okay, so these entrepreneurs who have the idea, which are very potential, they will be connected with these three agencies. However, they are also supported with, for example, roundtables, also year-long mentorship, all right, and also there will be branding, packaging, marketing, all those supports would be given as well. Major emphasis of the government would be on visibility and recognition. That means the entrepreneurs from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, they must also be visible on the stage. For that, they will be doing the branding and marketing. Okay, and they must be recognized as well, right? So these are some of the initiatives that government will be taking under Navachar Mantra. Okay, now National Institute for Entrepreneurship, Small Business Development with FITT and IIT Delhi, these organizations, agencies would be serving as the technical knowledge partners in order to promote this Navachar Mantra. All right, so we have a question for you. Consider the following statement regarding the Navachar Mantra initiative. It has been launched by Ministry of Skill Development and the Entrepreneurship. This is correct statement. It is implemented by National Institute for Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development with FITT and IIT Delhi as the technical knowledge partner. This is also correct statement. Answer would be 1 and 2, both are correct. Okay. Now moving to the next, which is about the seafood export. Here you have to remember two things. First, value, volume difference, and also the products. Right? So if I tell you frozen shrimp is the leading product, followed by frozen fish. If I tell you in terms of value, it is the USA which is importing the highest in terms of values, but when it comes to volume, it is China. Okay, so remember these facts. Remember these facts for your exam purposes. If I tell you it is some around 19.72 million metric tons of seafood has been exported by India of some around 74,000 crores. Okay, so this was in terms of volume and this is value, right? So remember this thing, keep this in mind. Frozen shrimps, then frozen fish, and then you have USA in terms of value and China in terms of volume are the destinations, preferred destination. All right. So suppose there's an exam, there's a question with respect to fishery sector, okay, or blue economy, then you can quote some of these data. All right. So let's have a practice question. Consider the following statements about India's marine exports. Frozen fish was the second largest exported seafood item after frozen shrimps. Okay, this is a correct statement. The European Union was the largest single country importer of Indian frozen shrimp. This is incorrect. This is not EU but USA. So answer would be only 1. Now moving to the next significant development. Government wants to have a logistic port performance index. Why? Because government want to promote port transports and want become a member of global communication lines. So government of India want to improve the performance of their ports. For this, they have come up with the Sagar Aankalan framework, which is nothing but a benchmarking mechanism. Right? What they're trying to do? This is in sync with 3 of the major documents that I would strongly recommend you to please go and read. This is PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, Maritime India Vision 2030, very important for your examination now, and also Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047. In order to promote the objectives that are given in these documents, government has came up with Sagar Aankalan framework. Okay, this is there. Now, they will be, for example, they will be examining the ports in dry bulk, liquid bulk, okay, and also container cargo. So there are 3 categories on which they will try to examine the ports utility, right? So first of all, if I tell you, please remember the names also of these ports. You may get a match the following questions. Paradip port is in the leading dry bulk category. Then you have the Sikka port and terminals in the liquid bulk cargo elements, and also you have the Mundra port, which is the highest ranked port in the container cargo capacity. Okay, this is one thing. Now another news is that logistic performance index. It is by World Bank. Right? So logistic performance index is released by World Bank, but here's a significant development that India's ranking has improved from 44 to 22nd. This is very important. Also, 7 Indian ports are in top 100. So that means there is significant development that is happening in this sector also. Now, what are the digital initiatives for the shipping taken by the government, which highlight that why there's sudden increase in the rankings of India? So please remember, first of all, there is a 24/7 grievance redressal mechanism, because we are handling a lot of operations on the port. Okay, so in case of there is some grievances, for example, there is turnaround time is because otherwise turnaround time will increase. Okay, there will be operational complexities. So government has come up with 24/7 grievance redressal mechanism. That is one thing. Ship registration module, very important, and for this they have launched e-Samudra portal. Okay, the issues related to the registration of the ships would be taken on this portal. Then you have the medical practitioner modules, very important, because this is the issue that was highlighted by the many of the times by the Western countries regarding the fraudulent certificates that were issued. So government has come up with this module to streamline the registration and monitoring of doctors authorized to certify seafarers while reducing the risk of fraudulent certificates. Okay, this is again improving India's ranking. Then also you have unified ship recycling credit note module as well. Okay, so this is to sustainable ship recycling, and India want to become a member of key chain. Here global value chain ka India want to become a part of. So we have also come up with a unified ship recycling credit note facility as well. Okay, now let's see these questions. With reference to India's logical global logistics standing, consider the following statements. India's ranking in the World Bank's Logistics Performance Index improved in the international shipment category. Yes, so it has increased from 44 to 22. That is there. 7 Indian ports featured among world top 100 ports in the World Bank Containers Port Index 2024. This is also good. Answer would be 1 and 2 both. Now another question. Which one of the following is correctly matched according to the Logistic Port Performance Index 24 and 25? Okay, so if I tell you dry port, so I have seen here dry port we have Paradip. It is not Mundra, is for container, right? So dry port is Paradip. Then they are asking for following correctly matched. Okay, so this is incorrect match. Liquid ke liye not Paradip. Container cargo Mundra port is correct. Container cargo Sikka is incorrect. Okay, so we know dry port we have Paradip, liquid port we have Sikka, container cargo we have Mundra port. So please remember these 3 ports as well. Now next is India become top ship recycling nation. This is very significant development, because you have just seen here that we have also launched a unified ship recycling credit note module. And here is the complete detailed news there over. India has emerged the world's leading ship recycling nation in 2025, ranking first globally. Very important, significant development. So please remember, because these are the initiatives that government of India is taking in order to become a part of global value chain. Okay, so government want to promote more and more ship recycling facilities in India so that we can also earn a lot of global trade, and our performance and our share in this value chain should be increased. Okay, and here is India is now ranked first globally. Now, according to the latest report, who launched this report is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Please remember this as well, that India's share in the global ship, it has increased to 35.4%. That is, previously it was just 30%. Okay, so that is a significant development. And if I tell you in terms of weightage, it's about 2.99 million gross tons in 2025, up nearly 60% from the report in 2024. Okay, so you have to remember this part also and this also. Now, what are the key government initiatives? This is important for your exam. They may be asked in the prelims, or you may write these initiatives in your mains answer for validation as well. Let's see it one by one. First is Hong Kong Convention compliance. Very important. Please remember this compliance convention. It is for the government has enacted the Recycling of Ships Act 2019, which is in sync with the Hong Kong Convention compliance for the recycling of the ships. Okay, so it has promoted global acceptance also. Right, then ship breaking credit note scheme, it is also there. For example, if government is breaking a ship, the 40% of the ship scrap value of the ship could be given as a credit note. Okay, this is also significant development. It will ensure the liquidity in the sector, and the person can also use it to the 5% of the value of a new vessel also. Right, so for that purpose, it is also incentivizing people to come and recycle their ships in India. Then you have the stakeholder engagement. It is also there. Government has time and again engages with the different stakeholders. For example, industry, sailors, shipfarers, government agencies. All these people are coming together and have a discussion on the policies to streamline the process. Now, inclusion under European Union ship recycling regulations. So government is pursuing. It is not yet done. Government is trying so that if we get included under this European Union ship recycling regulations, it would be easier, because now after that India would be able to tap the European market as well. All right, expansion of Alang ship recycling yard. So this is, we have increased its capacity as well, and also sustainable ship recycling future. This is also important, and for that, according to the Baltic and International Maritime Council, more than 16,000 vessels are supposed to be recycled globally over the next decade, and India has the capacity to at least recycle some 500 to 600 of them. Okay, so in this background, this news will become very, very important, because if we expand this facility, it will promote employment also, and also promote the GDP of India as well. Right, now let's see this question. The achievement of India becoming the top ship recycling nation is linked to the target set under which vision document? All right, so it is important that it is Maritime India Vision 2030. I have told you, please remember these documents, give it a read. These are very, very important documents for your exam. Now, moving to the next. With reference to the India's ship recycling sector, consider the following statements. India became the world's leading ship recycling nation in 2025, so that is correct. Okay. Then India's share of global ship recycling increased from 30% in 2024 to 35.4% in 2025. This is also correct. The achievement fulfills the Maritime Vision 2030 target ahead of the schedule. This is also correct. Answer would be 1, 2, and 3 all. Okay. Next is guidelines for district domestic product estimate. First of all, understand what is district domestic product. You know the GDP. Must have read the GDP. GDP is the gross development product. That is the products that are developed in a territory of a state, in a country, within a given financial year. Right. If I deconstruct it to the district level, it will become district domestic product. For example, if I know, suppose there is one district, suppose we have Lucknow, Agra, Varanasi. Okay, so whatever these districts are producing in a one financial year is known as district domestic production. This is clear. Now, why this is important? Because if you have the data of GSDP only, that means that every district in a state is producing equally. This is what we can get from if we just look at the GSDP. what is the share. But if government has a data based on suppose district 1, district 2, district 3, government will be able to find that which district requires the support and the investment. Okay, which districts are doing good, which districts are not doing good, and they need support. Okay, so that is why this is important. However, there is a challenge. Challenge is that the different states, they have different mechanism and different ways to calculate this district domestic production. Now, because they are calculated differently, it is very difficult to compare among them. And for that reason, government has now come up with the guidelines for district domestic product estimate. I hope this is clear. Now let's see, they are trying to promote a uniform framework for compilation of the district domestic product to estimate across states and UTs. Idea is clear, because if they are calculated differently, it would be difficult to compare them out. Second, its objective is to ensure consistency, standardization of district level economic estimates under the revised base year framework. Clear? So this is there, and the base year would be 2022 and 2023. You have to remember there is a lot of there is upgradation in a lot of base years. We'll see in subsequent articles also. So they have promoted estimation procedure, data source, concept coverage methodologies for comparison of GSDP net district products as per capita income. However, government has promoted for bottom-up approach. Now, what is this bottom-up approach? Suppose we have this village. Okay, after we have block, then we have district. So first of all, government is saying to start compiling the data from the village level, go to the block level, and then go to the district level in order to understand what is the exact performance of this production estimate. Clear? This is called as bottom-up approach. However, if it is not available because of some reason, then they can go for the top-down approach as well. All right. So this is what government is promoting. At present, 26 states and UTs are compiling DDP estimates as per the given. Ministry of Stats and Program Implementation making efforts to onboard all states and UTs. How it would be impactful? First of all, it would be helpful in harmonization of estimate practices. Okay, strengthen institutional frameworks. And with this, you will have this support decentralization planning, evidence-based policy formulation, regional development analysis, and informed decision making using district level data. So it will help in data support policy making. I hope this is clear. Why it is important, what are the challenges, and now why these guidelines and how these guidelines would be helpful. Okay, now based on that, let's see this question. Consider the following statements regarding district domestic product estimation in India. First, it aims to provide a uniform framework for compiling GDP, net district domestic product, and per capita income at the district level. Are you understanding? We need these data to understand what is the current situation of our district, because you see there's a regional imbalance among the states also. Many of the districts are well developed, many of the districts are not that developed. Still, many of the times the government focus, policy, investment, infrastructure is everything is to the developed sector only, because in order to promote more and more opportunities and the trades. Okay, in this there is a regional disparity in terms of development. But if we have this data in our hand, we will be able to know where to invest, which district needs more support and hand holding. Okay, this will promote equity also. Clear? So as of the guidelines released, all the states of India were already compiling DDPs. This is incorrect. There are some 26 states and UTs which are doing it. However, ministry is trying so that everybody can come on board. All right, so answer would be only one. Now, moving to the next is we have Mission Sneh Jori. So this is basically Muga silk in Assam. This is important. Muga silk is a very significant development. It is only naturally golden silk and India's first GI tag silk. You can imagine. This is only naturally producing India's first GI tag. Still, this is Assam produces only 90% of the world's Muga silk. That means it has a complete monopoly over it. However, despite this monopoly, the weavers are getting only 18,000 to some 21,000 annually. This is the problem. Okay, we know the demand of silk sarees in India and the silk products in India, very, very high. You go to the market, products are also very high, but weavers are getting some 18,000 to 21,000, that too annually, not monthly, annually only. That is even less than 2,000 rupees per month. Now to overcome this, government has came up with Mission Sneh Chori. This, please remember this thing. This is a collaboration. Please remember, major ministry is Ministry of Development of Northeast region. However, the collaboration is with Government of Assam, Ministry of Textile and Silk Board as well. Okay. Now, what they try to do? For example, you want to promote some product. So first of all, you have to strengthen the value chain, right? So this is what they will be doing. First of all, globally competitive, high value luxury textile ecosystem they want to build. So for that, the entire supply chain would be supported from the silkworm to the industries to the market. Okay, so everything would be supported by the government. This is one thing you should remember. Okay, so again, idea is that they will try to promote farmer producer organization, common facility centers to enforce GI authentication under the Unified Sneh Chori Board. What they try to do? For example, they will try to promote FPOs because we know FPOs have better bargaining power. Okay. Also, they will try to promote common facility centers. Why common facility centers? Because if somebody is a small entrepreneur or the person is from self-help group, they want to promote this production, so they can use this common facilities center rather than start building everything from the scratch. Clear? Also, government will try to enforce the GI code in order to protect the real weavers. Clear? This is one thing. So what are the objectives of this program? If I tell you, this is, first of all, we have discussed 5 modernized Muga reeling units under Muga spun mill they will be forming. 30 FPOs, over 1,180 farmers interest groups would also be there. Okay, regeneration of 5,000 hectares of soam and soalu host plants. This is also there. Creation of digital traceability mechanism for more than 8,000 households, and also silk tourism park, annual Muga Utsav festivals, and positioning Assam as the premier destination for silk heritage tourism. All right. And now let's see what is Muga silk. And also please remember that India is the only country in the world which produce all 4 major varieties of the silk, that is mulberry, eri, tasar and Muga. Right? India is also the second largest producer of the silk after China, but the largest consumer of the silk in the world as well. That means we produce second largest, but we also consume. We are the largest consumer of the silk markets also. Okay. Central Silk Board, if I tell you, it's a statutory body under Ministry of Textiles. Clear? So remember these things about the Muga silk, which state monopoly, and Mission Sneh Chori is related to the development or the production of Muga silk in Assam. Okay, the Muga silk associated with the Mission Sneh Chori is a GI tag product native to which Indian state? So answer is Assam. Consider the following statements regarding Mission Sneh Chori. It has been launched by the Ministry of Development of Northeastern region. This is correct, but in collaboration with Government of Assam, Ministry of Textile and also the National Central Silk Board. It seeks to strengthen the entire Muga silk value chain from host plant cultivation to the export promotion. That is correct statement. It aims to establish a silk tourism park and promote a Muga silk trial, which is of the statements are correct. So all 3 of them are correct. Answer would be 1, 2 and 3. Now next is credit guarantee schemes for microfinance institutions 2.0. First of all, as the name suggests, there is some credit which is required, for which somebody will be giving the guarantee to the microfinance institutions. But before that, you should know what is microfinance institutions. For example, there's a small entrepreneur, okay, or let us assume there's a small vendor who wants to start a tailor shop, suppose, and for that he or she needs some 30,000 rupees loan. That's all. That person is going to bank, but bank may decline. Why? Because there is no collateral, first thing. Also, there is no credit score, right? There's no collateral, there's no credit score. So bank may deny. So how the person will get into the formal credit system? It is through the microfinance institutions. So microfinance institutions are the institutions which are giving loans to micro industrial units. right? But they also need some money. From where will they get money? They will get it from bank. Bank will give monies to MFI. MFI will give money to the small vendors. Clear? This is the scenario. But because we know MFI is giving loans to the people where the loan amount is very risky. Okay, for example, some 80% is paid, but 20% is a bad debt. If it is a bad debt, MFI may not be able to repay back to bank. So bank may be hesitant to lend it to the MFI also. And for this purpose, government has came up with the credit guarantee scheme for microfinance institution 2.0. That is second time it is there. So timeline is August 31, 2026 or till the time 20,000 crore guarantees are disbursed. Whichever is earlier, that would be the sunset time for this. However, government has also came up with this for the large non-banking financial microfinance institutions. It has increased from 300 crores to 1,000 crores, the total loan that they can take. Okay. It is to facilitate increased flow to the MFI because, as I mentioned, bank has to give money to MFI. Then MFI will be able to give it to the small vendors. If there is no bank is not giving to MFI, even this would be stopped. Okay, and that is why government want to ensure that credit should be flowing. Clear? That is there. Now let me tell you the detail of the schemes. First of all, it was provided guarantee cover to banks and financial institutions through National Credit Guarantee Trustee Company Limited, which is a government backed. Eligible borrowers. So as per the definition given by the RBI, right? All the new as well as existing MFIs are eligible to take the loan. That is their guarantee coverage. Now here government has come up with a stratification. Okay. So suppose there's a term called asset under management, AUM. Asset under management for banks or the lending institution, assets means loans. Okay. So how much of the amount that the loans has been disbursed by an MFI, based on that there would be criteria, right? For example, a small size, that is loan are given less than 500 crores, it is a small. If it is medium, that means 500 crore to 2000 crore, and more than 2000 crore would be a large MFI. Now here government said that for small we will be covering up to 80% of the bad debt amount. For medium 75% and for the large 70%. For example, suppose 100 crore loan was given to a small, okay, 80 crore was given back, but 20 crore is a bad debt. So out of this 20 crore, 80% means 16 crores would be given by the government. The remaining 4 crores would be borne by the bank. So now because banks ka jo, this is that the threat of the bank, the risk of the banks has significantly reduced because government is covering till 80% of the bad debt amount. Banks would be incentivized to give it to the loan because when they will give the loan, they will get the interest. Okay, so that is how this is all about this credit guarantee scheme for microfinance institution 2.2. I hope this is clear. Moving to the practice question, let's discuss. Consider the following statements about the credit guarantee schemes for microfinance institution 2.0. It has been extended up to August 31st, 2026 or till guarantees worth rupees 20,000 crores are issued, whichever is earlier. Clear? The credit guarantee ceiling is eligible MFI has been increased from 300 crore to 1,000 crore under the overall AUM ceiling. AUM means asset under management. Clear? So both of them are correct answers. This would be both 1 and 2. Alright. Now next is Jan Samarth portal. What is this? This is also an example of e-governance. So please read it carefully. It was launched in 2022. It's a digital platform for credit-linked government schemes. Credit-linked government schemes means sometimes government will not be giving the loans directly. Okay. However, they will have some schemes which are promoted by through different organizations, right? For example, government is giving some subsidized education loans, suppose, but government is not directly giving the loans to you. You have to go to some banks. Now, suppose you have to go for bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, bank 4, like this, in order to find the best outcome that you can get from that. So rather than manually moving from one organization to another organization, you can directly use a Jan Samarth portal, which will connect the borrower with the lenders. Clear? This credit linked government scheme that is there. Now 16 credit linked government schemes are covering diverse sector including agriculture, business, housing, renewable energy and livelihoods are associated with this Jan Samarth portal that is there. Okay, in order to ensure ease of accessibility, 8 different languages for ease of access to rural and unprivileged systems. We are population in this country, we are connected Jan Samarth portal into the 8 languages, right? The portal facilitates real-time checks with Central Board of Direct Taxes, GST, Udyam, Unique Identification Aadhaar, Civil, Agri-Tech, Kisan Rail, Startup and all. That means different ministries, departments and organizations that are connected together, right? So everybody is accessing your data from one portal. It will increase the speed of the process. So that process of getting the credit would become faster and easier. This is the benefit of Jan Samarth portal, right? Otherwise, what will happen? You have to keep taking a lot of documents from one department to another department, then GST to the I to PAN and everything, right? Now, because you have an application on the Jan Samarth portal, just imagine this way. Okay, so here you have submitted your CIBIL score, your Aadhaar, your PAN and your documents, eligible documents. Now, Bank 1, Bank 2, Bank 3, they will be holding your data from here itself. Now they have to check with central repository of the CIBIL. So rather than asking it again, they will be taking it from the portal itself. So the whole process would be streamlined, it would be easier, it would be faster. Okay, this is the benefit of Jan Samarth portal. If I tell you about the impact, so impact as of January 2026, some around 54.10 lakh applications amounting rupees 3 lakh 951 crores have been proposed through this portal. Okay. Further, banks have given digital approvals to some 50 lakh beneficiaries involving amount of 2.76 lakh crore. So that means this has really smoothened and simplifying the process of credit getting in India. Now, we have a question. Consider the following statement about the Jan Samarth portal. It enables real-time verification checks with systems such as GST, Udyam, Udai and CIBIL. This is correct because they want to coordinate with inter-agencies. It exclusively serves public sector banks excluding NBFCs and cooperative bank. This is an incorrect statement because government want to simplify the process. If you want to simplify the process, why would you like to exclude the other organization and departments? So this is a commonsensical question. Answer would be 1 only. Now, ATF Price Stabilization Fund. Okay, so aviation turbine fuel, ATF, but price stabilization fund is something which is, as the name suggests, it's a fund to stabilize the prices of something, right? That something is nothing but ATF, that is your aviation turbine fuel. Now why? Because you know India is a energy importing country, right? And majority of our import is from the West Asia. Now there is a crisis going on in West Asia. Because of this USA-Iran war, the prices are skyrocketed for the fuel. If prices are skyrocketed, there are two things. Problem first is operational challenges. Right? Because if these agencies, for example, your airlines, if they are not increasing the prices, there will be operational challenges. They are no more sustainable. If they increase the prices, they have to pass into the customer. So customer has to find the imported inflation on their ticket prices. There is a dual problem because either way, if their prices are very, very high, people will not prefer to travel. If they are not prefer to travel, again operations would become difficult. Okay, and in case there's a shutdown or something, it will lead to unemployment also. Clear? So to avoid this situation, government has came up with price stabilization fund. Okay, they have announced 10,000 crore rupees for this purpose. Okay, and this is outcome is that first of all, I know that prices are more or less stabilized now, so we can plan. This is operationalization smooth, and there will be also no inflation on prices for the customers. Clear? That is there. It will sustain employment, shield OMCs from the losses. How? Because government is giving some 10,000 crore ka buffer. Okay, so oil manufacturing companies should also not be bearing all the losses. It will reduce the pass through the fuel prices shocks to the passenger, as I just discussed, and also support continued air connectivity. It is available for both domestic as well as international flights. Clear? So that is there. Background we have discussed is because of the US-Iran war. Now, price stabilization funds detail. How it would happen? Government is stating that the participating airlines, right? First of all, it is voluntary. Airline may get into this or not. But if you are participating, there's a MOU would be signed that for the next 3 years, you have to keep buying the petrol from the same OMC. This is one thing, because tomorrow when the pressure on the prices are released, the OMCs will be getting back their losses. Once these losses are covered, this 10,000 crore that government has taken up, it would be sending back to the consolidation fund of India. Clear? So this is the overall scheme. This is not a subsidy. This is not a grant. This is just a management. What they are doing, 10,000 crore rupees, they are making a fund. For the time being, for example, oil manufacturing companies, they are getting it for some 100 rupees per barrel, right? They have to sell it for say $90 because government has capped the prices, stabilization prices, right? So there is a loss of $10 from where they will get it. Tomorrow, when these prices will come to, for example, $70 per barrel, they have still be selling it to the 90. So the $20 would be for the loss covering. And once the losses are covered, these OMCs has to send back 10,000 crore rupees to the government, and that government will sending it back to the consolidated fund of India. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now consider the following statements regarding the significance of ATF price stabilization fund. It aims to sustain employment across the aviation value chain, including ground handling agencies and MROs. This is correct. It expected to support regional air connectivity to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. This is also correct. Okay. Next is drop in bitumen imports. Now understand why. So first of all, India requires some around 90 lakh tons of bitumen annually. Out of this, some around 50% we are making. For 50%, we are dependent on import. This 50% on which we are importing, around 90% of it is coming from the West Asian countries. And now there is a crisis in West Asia. Again, the same problem. Okay. You can see imports come from Iraq, UAE, Iran, Oman, and Bahrain, some 99% in fact. So, first of all, let's see what is bitumen. It is a mixture of organic liquids that are highly viscous, black, sticky, entirely soluble in carbon disulfide. This all is not required for an exam purpose. You must know that it is a organic liquid used for, you must have seen it in building roads, that black color element. Okay, and that is why it is known as black gold also. Clear? Now, in order to avoid the situation, because we are dependent on import. Some 99% of the imports is from West Asian countries. Now this is a crisis. Government wants to promote bio-bitumen. Okay, so this is, that CSIR, CRRI and Indian Institute of Petroleum, Dehradun, they have jointly developed bio-bitumen technology. They are making it from the rice straw, the same rice straw which is known for stubble burning and pollution in Delhi NCR during winters. Clear? So instead of burning, now that could be used to make bio-bitumen, for which India is required. However, please understand one thing, it is not that India was always dependent on the import for bitumen. Then what happened? Suddenly the government started for capital expenditure like anything, and because of the projects like Sagar Mala, Pradhan Mantri Sadak Yojana, Gramin Sadak Yojana, okay, then you have expressways, national highways. Because we have expanded this infrastructure, so the demand outpaced the supply, and because of that, India is now dependent for some around 50% of its bitumen requirement. All right, and hence to avoid that, government is now promoting bio-bitumen. Clear? So there is some data given over here. National highways have grown from 91,000 kilometers to some 1.47 lakh kilometers. Currently, there is an increase of 61% increase. With the length of expressway, it was just 93 kilometers and today it stands for 3,052 kilometers. Okay. And also government has a target of building 10,000 kilometers of highways in the ongoing financial year 26-27. Additionally, 17,365 kilometers of road remains to be constructed under Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana phase 3. So you can understand that means we need a lot of bitumen for this projects, and hence government is promoting bio-bitumen. Okay, so let's see this question. Consider the following statements regarding bitumen in India. India imports the bulk of its bitumen requirement, with over 99% of the imports secured from West Asian countries. So please remember, yes, this data is 99%. This is not some extreme factor or something. Okay, that is there. This is correct statement. Bitumen is primarily used as a feedstock for fertilizer industry. It is for the construction purposes. Answer would be 1 only. Okay, now there is a news related to Padma Barrage. Bangladesh, tell me, first of all, in the comment box, tell me which river is known as Padma River in Bangladesh. Okay, that you can drop me in the comment box. I'll see it. Bangladesh has approved a large river engineering project called the Padma Barrage on the Padma River in Rajbari districts. Okay, now the issue is that this is a mega barrage. Okay, and mega barrages are generally not very successful because of various operational and ecological concerns are there. Now let's see it one by one. Padma River, the name given to the Ganga River in the Bangladesh region. So here you have this Ganga, which is known as Padma over here. Then you have this Brahmaputra coming from India, which is known as Jamuna in Bangladesh, and together they both known as Meghna River in Bangladesh. So please remember this fact also. Now, they are principal distributary of Ganga and flows southeast across Bangladesh. And now, river's dry season. This is governed by Ganges Water Sharing Treaty of 1996 between India and Bangladesh. Now, because of this Farakka barrage, sometimes especially during the off season, right, the water scarcity is there in the region, and to avoid that, Bangladesh is building this Padma barrage over there. Okay, so that is there. The project will roughly cover some 37% of the country's land area and irrigate some around 2.8 million hectares of farmland. However, there are some criticism of the project. First, mega barrage often underperforms, as I just mentioned, because it alters sediment flow in unprotected ways and can create new ecological problems such as water logging and damage to the fisheries or habitat destructions as well. Clear? It also highlights that how Southeast Asia, or basically in Asia especially, countries are going for a loan for water management. We know that river is a interstate thing, interstate resources, where many countries are dependent on a single river. But you see there's a trend in Asia where they are building more and more barriers rather than removing it. But if you see in the European nations, what they are trying to do, they are just removing these barrages in order to have a free flow of the river, right? But in Asia, there's a different thing is taking place. So there's also unilateral river engineering, which is opposite to that of Europe and North America. So unilateral river engineering may cause geopolitical tensions in already sensitive area. This is something which we should understand. All right. Here's a question. The Padma Barrage recently in the news is being constructed by which country? So answer is Bangladesh. Okay. Now green hydrogen certification portal. So what is this? First of all, understand what is hydrogen. So imagine hydrogen as a fuel. Clear? Imagine hydrogen as a fuel. A fuel which can help you to run vehicles, factories for the production of steel, and everything else, right? So this is a fuel. That means we need to produce that fuel. So there are gray hydrogen, blue hydrogen, and also green hydrogen. So that means not every hydrogen that you are producing is a green hydrogen. So this is something you should also understand. Now this is the certification related to the green hydrogen, because if it is a fuel, right? I have mentioned this, imagine hydrogen as a fuel. So if it is a fuel, there will be demand for this fuel. Globally, there is a demand of the fuel. India wants to promote itself as the major exporter of the green hydrogen. Okay, now the Western countries especially, or the countries that are there to promote the green fuel, they want to check that this must not be the case, that you have produced hydrogen by some other means and you are selling it in the name of green hydrogen. Getting the idea? Suppose I have produced greenhouse gas, I have produces the green hydrogen using the fossil fuels energy. So that is known as grey hydrogen, not green hydrogen. But I am selling it in the name of green hydrogen. So the countries may not buy that. And India want to promote itself as the major exporter of the green hydrogen. So for that purpose, Government of India has come up with a green hydrogen certification portal which certify that your product is a green hydrogen. That means what was the technology used, what are the fossils were used, how much emission was there. If these things are verified, then it will give it a certificate. And now, because foreign countries, the suppliers, the buyers, they are assured that the product they are buying is a green hydrogen, it will promote the demand in their market also. Okay, imagine it like organic, hai na? More like think of it like an organic product. Any farmer cannot sell its product just by saying it is organic. Okay, they have to get it certified. In the same manner, any hydrogen could not be sold in the market by labeling it as a green hydrogen. You have to get the certification done. This is all about the green hydrogen certification portal. I hope this is clear. Okay, so scheme launch, Green Hydrogen Certification Scheme of India, launched in 2025 by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy under the Green Hydrogen Mission. And again, very important mission for your exam. Under this scheme, hydrogen can be certified as green hydrogen only if the non-biogenic means which is not based on the bioenergy or not based on the fossil fuel energy. Greenhouse gases emission do not exceed 2 kg of CO2 equivalent, okay, per kg of hydrogen. If this is the emission ratio and it is used, then only we will certify it as a green hydrogen and then it would be ready for export. Clear? This is the summary of this green hydrogen certification portal. Now let's see one by one. Consider the following statements regarding the green hydrogen certification portal of India. So it has been launched by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Please remember, green hydrogen is a new and renewable energy. So that is there, that is true. It facilitates transparent certification and regulatory compliance under the green hydrogen certification scheme of India. Transparent certification means the buyer may be able to track the production, that how it is certified, what were the parameters that were used to certify. That is the one of the things that they have given. Also regulatory compliance. So this is the regulatory compliance, right? So that is also that will promote the authenticity. It is important component of the National Green Hydrogen Mission. That is also true. Answer would be 1, 2 and 3. Now, which of the following is the primary objective of the Green Hydrogen Certification Portal of India? Primary objective they are asking. So it is to facilitate hydrogen exports. This is not primary. To facilitate transparent certification and regulatory compliance under the Green Hydrogen Certification Scheme. Because if this is transparent and regulatory compliance, then there will be demand and there will be acceptance in the global market. Clear? Now next is smart seed coating technology. As the name suggests, they want to do something with the seed so that seed can withhold the pressure. Now what are the pressures? Pressure is with respect to global warming, climate change, heat waves, erratic monsoon like this. So the stress from both biological as well as abiological things. Clear? Now let's see one by one who have produced this. So it is ICAR, Indian Institute of Oilseed Research, Hyderabad, has developed an initiative, smart seed coating technology. Right? So what they are doing, they utilizes biodegradable biopolymeric material to create a multifunctional protective layer around the seed. Well, now with this, you will see that the seed will be able to withhold the pressure that is coming from the biotic or abiotic sources. Okay. For example, improved tolerance to environmental stress during the critical crop establishment phase. It also is important that it has increased the productivity gains to 12 to 37% of the yields as compared to the untreated seeds. That is also there, and it was conducted under farmers field condition. It is not in the laboratory. So it is in the field condition. If I see, so result, there is an increase in the yield of the crop is from 12 to 37%. Is it clear? It is particularly relevant for rain-fed agriculture area. Because rain-fed agriculture, erratic monsoon, so stress is really, really high. For example, you see this year in India, we have El Nino. So it may be a possibility that the monsoon may be below normal. Many of the districts may be under the drought. So this time, where the rain-fed agriculture is important, this seed coating technology would be important, because now seed will be able to withhold the heat and duration of this lack of rainfall duration. It would be able to withhold. Clear? If the agriculture is not rain-fed, it is not dependent on the rain only. We have other modules like tube wells, canal irrigation. So we can go for the irrigations by other means also, right? So that is why it is mainly important for the rain-fed agriculture area, right? This will also promote livelihood, right? And also food security, food nutrition and economic security in the country. That is why it is very, very important. This strengthening seed performance offers one of the most cost-effective and scalable approaches to improving agriculture productivity. This is a part of your mains exam also, GS3 agriculture. So you can quote this as well. Clear? Now see, abiotic stress in agriculture refers to which of the following? It is damage caused by non-living environmental factors such as drought, temperature extremes and soil degradation. Answer would be B. I hope this is clear. Now, smart seed, another question. Smart seed coating technology is primarily aimed at, what is the primary aim? Genetically modified seed to resist herbicide? No, there's nothing GM. Replacing the need for irrigation entirely? No. Certifying seeds under India's GI tagging system? No. The idea is enhancing seed quality, crop establishment and resilience against biotic and abiotic stress. Alright, that is there. Now, smart warehousing system for food grain storage. In the previous discussion, I had talked to you about something. We have in the PDS when I discussed. Continuing to that, we have this. Okay, so now for the PDS, government is improving certain things for the food grain storage so that operational issues could be taken care of. Right? Remember, we have discussed Sarthak PDS in the previous month discussion. In continuation of that, this is also the another initiative to streamline the process. Clear? So don't forget the previous things. Keep it corrected so that your answers are more validated. It is more relevant. Okay. The Department of Food and the Public Distribution, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution has launched a smart warehousing system for food grain storage. What they're actually trying to do, this is the world's largest public system for which is deploying artificial intelligence and Internet of Things for public sector food grain warehousing, world's largest. Okay, that is there. What they're trying to do, for example, when there's a transportation of the food grains and then there's a storage till the time of a distribution, what they're trying to do, they are having geotagged smart locks. AI-enabled bag accounting, face recognition system, object detection, and also Internet of Things based monitoring of environmental parameters, and AI-powered surveillance for fire, smoke, or rodent detection. Okay, so this will promote the transparency. Smart locks are there, for example. So in case somebody wants to open it, there will be a message sent to the authorities that somebody is trying to open it. So you will get to know whether the person is opening it is for the legitimate purpose or not. Secondly, it is also an AI-enabled bag accounting. Okay, so manually, sometimes, okay, bags transported 100, counted 80. This would not be happening. So if I know that total 100 bags were sent from one place, only 80 are distributed, then where are remaining 20? So it will stop the black marketing. Clear? Face recognition system, so that we know that only the person who is legitimate to use and to open to distribute the goods or not. Face recognition is there. Also object detection. If we are trying to mix something, object detection. Okay, IoT based in monitoring of environmental parameters. Environmental parameters, what is the humidity, where the grains are kept. Okay, because we know if they suppose humidity is very high, okay, so there are chances that grains may not be in a very good quality for the long period of time. So there is IoT based things. Again, if things are not handled properly, again it will send a notification, right? So that is also there. And also AI powered surveillance of fire, smoke and rodent detection in order to reduce the accidents. Clear? So that is there. It will promote operational efficiency. It goes without saying. Also, it will reduce the vehicle's turnaround time because now there is a smart locks and geo tagging. So I know at what pace this truck is moving. So it will reduce the turnaround time also. It will enhance transparency, compliance monitoring and everything that is there. Clear? So with this purpose, government has come up with this smart warehousing system for food grain storage. Clear? This also supports enterprise resource planning, integration, automated record generation and advanced analytics for warehouse operation. So enterprise resource planning is something like more like a Excel sheet which we maintain in order to gain how much amount this data has came and how much food grain has been distributed, how much should be in the inventory. Okay. Also integration hai, that means this single sheet which is shared with the multiple agencies and they can check it over. So now I would say duplication or to corrupting the data would be very, very difficult. It would not go unnoticed. It will also has automated record generation and advanced analytical for warehouse operations. Clear? So to have an automatic record generation, I'll know how many sacks were there from the previous inventory, how many new are added, how many are distributed. I hope this is clear. Okay. It also complements some of the previous themes also we have discussed. Smart PDS, Anna Chakra, Deepo Darshan Asha, Anna Darpan and also Sarthak PDS. Right? So if you mention all these things, that the governance related issue with respect to the food distribution program would be taken care of in your exam. Clear? Now let's see, consider the following statements regarding the smart warehousing system of the food grain storage. It has been launched by the Department of Food and Public Distribution. Right? This is correct. It represents the world's largest deployment of AI and Internet of Things based in public sector food grain warehousing, I am saying. Okay. That is there. The system integrates FASTag and automatic number plate recognition based gate automation. This is also correct statement. Answer would be 1, 2 and 3. Now World Gold Council survey. Before I discuss this thing, I want to have you recall that we have discussed that RBI has started domestic storage of gold, right? And this process was the third successive year since it was going on. I had discussed this in the previous discussion. So if you have not watched that, go and watch that. It is important. And based on that, we have a World Gold Council survey now, which again highlight that it is not the RBI, but it is a global trend. The people are preferring different locations, many of them preferring domestication of their resources. Clear? Now let's see one by one. So World Gold Council released this survey. Okay, and the survey is basically to understand the perspective. There are two reasons. They want to understand the perspective of the central banks, that what do they think? Will gold will still remain an important storehouse of the wealth in the coming years or not? This was the major question that was discussed. Okay. Now, what are the key findings if I tell you? So first, a significant 89% of the respondents, that means the central banks, expects global central bank gold holdings to increase over the next 12 months. That means the central banks will buy more and more gold assets. We have seen in the previous discussion also that RBI's value has also increased, and to some extent RBI has also increased the volume of the gold as well. Clear? So, which indicated sustained demand for the gold despite record high prices. Reason is that what we see that gold prices were record high. It touched 1.7 lakh in India for 10 grams. Now it has been reduced to some extent, but still the prices are very, very high as compared to the last year. So but despite the high prices, as per some around 89% of the respondents, that means the central banks have stated that the central banks will increase the purchase of golds over the next 1 year. That means the prices of gold may increase further. We don't know. We have to wait for it. Okay, a record 45% of the central banks expect their gold reserve to be increased over the same period. Clear? Also, the survey gains additional significance because gold has recently overtaken US government dollar. Please remember, as the world's largest reserve asset by the market value. Generally, people used to prefer investing in dollar because dollar is a hard currency, right? And it was more safe, secure, and giving decent returns also. Second was gold. But now, even the prices of dollars are fluctuating like anything because of the crisis, global crisis that is going on. US is engaged in a lot of wars. So because of that, there is some impact on its economy also, and dollar is not performing as per the expectations. Hence, people have withdrawn from the dollars and now they have invested more into the gold. And because in this background, gold has become the largest share, which is a reserve of wealth globally in terms of value, not volume, value. This is the first time in the history. Okay, so and now further RBI, the central banks are saying that they will be buying more and more gold because they may not have that trust in the dollar or dollars as well, or maybe in the other foreign currencies also. Clear? So that is there. Now gold storage, if I tell you, what is the significant development over there? So Bank of England, now what are their people, central banks are diversifying their locations. Bank of England remains the most popular vaulting location among the respondents at 57%. So central banks continue to diversify their storage across multiple locations that we have just discussed. In the previous month also, this month also, the same thing. Right, domestic storage came as second, that is 49%, including RBI. They prefer domestic storage. Why domestic storage? Because we have seen the moment Russia-Ukraine war started, the Russian assets in the different European and the American countries were frozen. They are frozen assets. Now Russia cannot use it. In order to avoid that situation and to have a better sovereign control over their resources, many of the central banks are preferring domestic storage. RBI is also one of them that we had discussed in the previous month. The Swiss National Bank saw a notable decline in it. Previously it was 12%, now only 66%. So from 12% to just 6%, they want to keep their gold into the Swiss bank. However, they have a huge decline over it. Okay, so let me tell you what is this World Gold Council. It was established in 1987 by leading gold mining companies to promote responsible mining and also develop global gold market. Clear? So it has headquartered in London. Gold demand trends report, CBGR survey, world official gold reserve data, which are widely used by the policymaker for investments and bank purposes. This is the function of this World Gold Council, and also World Gold Council has come up with this survey. The reports are more or less clear. Okay, so what are the takeaway from here? First of all, there's a decline in the foreign vaulting system. Central banks are preferring more domestic location for storage, first thing. Second, that the dollar has been replaced by the gold as the wealth in terms of investment, right? And also some around 89% of the central banks still supported that they will be buying more and more gold in the next 12 months. Clear? So that is there. Now let's see this question. Which one of the following correctly describes the Central Bank Gold Reserve Survey 2026? It assures gold production trends across gold producing countries. No, nothing to do with the trends. It evaluates the financial performance of the gold mining companies. No, not again. It seeks to understand the perspective of the central banks on gold as a reserve asset and its role in the reserve management. This is the correct statement. Okay, the Central Bank Gold Reserve Survey 26 was released by which organization? So it is World Gold Council. So please remember, this sort of questions are very, very prevalent in prelims examination. Okay, now there are hunger hotspots. So Food and Agriculture Organization with World Food Program have released this hunger hotspot report. Hotspot is something where the incidents are very, very high. So the incidents of the hunger are very high in the zones. They are marked as hunger hotspots. Okay. So the findings is that the situation of the acute hunger would worsen. Now, despite many years, it would be global hotspot worsen across 13 global hotspots. It is generally from the Africa and the war-torn areas. So we have Sudan, South Sudan, Yemen, Palestine as the world's most critical hunger hotspot. However, Nigeria and Somalia have been added to the list of high risk. They are not hotspot, but they are on the verge of that. Clear? What are the major issues? First is armed violence. For example, you see Palestine-Israel war, Iran war, we have Ukraine-Russia war and other places also. Right? These pressures are also compounded by economic shocks. We know the global economy is in shock, right? Because of the wars, disruption of supply chains, lanes of communications are blocked because of this. And severe funding shortage is also one of the major challenges, because there are two reasons. First of all, countries are engaged in war. So because you are engaged in war, and war is very expensive. Secondly, there's a threat to export import. World trade is also not, demands are declining, and because of this, there's people that this financial support is also declining. Clear? And there are some climatic issues as well. For example, we know this year is an El Nino, which is generally associated with the decline in monsoon rainfall. If there is a decline in rainfall, it may reduce productivity and promote droughts. If droughts are increasing, definitely it will hamper the food security. And if there's a food security is threatened, it may promote to hunger. Is it clear? So these were the major findings. Now let me discuss about the food security. What is the food security? Basically, if a person have the food in order to safe and nutritious food for normal growth and development and active and healthy life, that is known as food security. The absence of this is known as food insecurity. Clear? Now, food insecurity is when you don't have the food. Chronic food security is when that is prolonged for a prolonged period. Okay. Now, acute food insecurity is a term which is known as when threatens people's lives and livelihood because of the hunger. That is acute food insecurity. Now, what are the 4 core factors that they use for someone's food security? First of all, use. Use means whether the person is able to cook the food or not. That is how they are using it, right? Then the accessibility. Whether the food are accessible or not, it may be because of inflation, they don't have the accessibility. All right. Then you have the availability. Whether the food is available or not, it may be because of maybe the war or climate change, El Nino like this, and stability. Stability is that if the person may have the food security today, but there is a risk that tomorrow that person may or may not have the food for consumption. That is known as lack of stability in food security. Okay, so these are the 4 core areas. First is use, availability, accessibility, and the stability. You can use this diagram in your mains exam also. Right? Now, global standard for food insecurity, that is not much required. Let's discuss the hunger hotspot report is recently published by whom? So it is by UNICEF and WHO. No, it is by FAO and World Food Program. So answer would be B. Clear? Remember these things. These are very favorite questions of UPSC, especially in prelims. Which of the following countries have been identified as the world's most critical hunger hotspot in terms of severity and the magnitude of hunger? So we know we have Sudan, South Sudan, Yemen, and Palestine. So all 4 would be there. Clear? Now, in order to that, you also remember, though we have discussed these things, I'm just reiterating it first the same. The funding is also a problem. There's a lack of funding. And also early, this I just want to highlight. This is a way forward sort of conclusion. This is a concluding remark. If you're writing mains answer on the food security or the issues to be in the food security, you can conclude with either of the 2. Early investment in emergency agriculture assistance and resilience is one of the most cost-effective way to protect livelihood, sustain local food production, and reduce future humanitarian risk. Okay, so here we are giving a way forward. For example, agriculture assistance and resilience, early investment in agriculture in assistance. Right? Now, if I just want to conclude, that means you are just throwing a paradox. So here we are mentioning without strong political commitment, predictable financing, and collective action, hunger crises are likely to deepen across the world's most vulnerable regions in the month ahead. So this is a warning sort of concluding remark. I hope this is clear. That is how you can use this content in your answer writing also directly. Okay, next we'll be discussing about this Khurasani Imli. So first of all, before I start, I have 2 questions for you. Tell me about the Khurasan. You might have read it in medieval Indian history. Okay. So what do you know about Khurasan? You can drop in the comment box. And also, it is basically a tamarind, fruit of Mandu iconic boab tree. You can also comment what about this Mandu architecture. You have read it, art and culture also. So you can drop that in the comment box. Okay. So this is the best way to keep revising when you are writing. Okay. So let's see one by one. You can drop me in the comment box about the Khorasan province, and also this Mandu architecture. So don't read current affairs as a static thing. Okay, just keep integrated with your syllabus. Also keep recalling things. This will help you to build the integration among the different topics. So remember one thing, that this Khorasani Imli has now been awarded as a GI tag in the Dhar district of Madhya Pradesh. Clear? This is a baobab tree. Now please remember two things. First, it is not indigenous to India. It is not native of Afghan also, Khorasani Imli, though it is named as. It is named as Khorasani because it was introduced in India by Afghan and Arab traders. It is native to the mainland Africa. Remember these three facts from this. Okay, now it is a massive bottle-shaped trunk, store 1000 liters of water, so it can be able to survive in harsh conditions, and it is mostly generally leafless branches are there. Okay, it has medicinal properties, source of vitamin C and micronutrients, essential minerals, and GI tag will encourage conservation, new plantation, validate industries, branding, and sustainable tourism, directly benefiting the local population. Okay, so what do you need to understand? Khorasani Imli, native of Africa, introduced in India by the Arab and Afghani traders, and this GI tag is given in the Madhya Pradesh. Okay, now let's see this question. Which one of the following statements regarding Khorasani Imli is correct? It is an indigenous to peninsular India? No, it is an incorrect statement. It is the fruit of baobab tree which is native to mainland Africa, and this is the correct answer. Okay, not UNESCO, but it has received a GI tag. Not in the Himalayan region, but in the MP, Dhar district in MP. Clear? Now next is Drunix platform. This is something really important. It looks little technical, so please understand it carefully. The National Payment Corporation of India roll out Drunix, NPCI. So what is Drunix? Drunix is an open system, more like your Android operating system, open source, which people can add, they can customize, and they can improve. Clear? This is one thing. It is open source blockchain platform to help companies build and scale tokenization platform, digital asset ecosystem, and multi-organization networks. What does that mean? A lot of keywords. Let me deconstruct it one by one for you. First is open source. Open source I mentioned, where the source code of a program is available to public, like more of your Android system, operating system. Okay, people can download, they can update, or they can even customize it. This is called open system, open source system. Now blockchain, I'm sure you are aware of this term, blockchain platform. What is blockchain? So blockchain is basically like a node where they contains the data, and this data is connected to another node that look more like a chain, so it is known as a blockchain. Clear? It helps to build a scale of tokenization platform. What is tokenization? So basically, if there is an asset, okay, which is very costly, so it may be out of the purchasing power of the people, so you can make tokens of it, and then people can buy these tokens, which will increase the investment and ownership also. This is called tokenization of digital assets ecosystem, multi-organization networks. So basically, NPCI has launched one blockchain platform which is open source. This will help the companies so that they can make tokenization platforms and also digital asset ecosystem and also multi-organization networks. Clear? Again, the same logic. Suppose this is organization A, this is organization B, this is organization C, who want to deal in this tokenization thing. They are not required to build everything from the scratch. They can use the Drunix platform of the NPCI to build on that. Clear? For example, you are an application developer of the mobile phone. You are an Android or iOS application developer. So you are not required to build everything from the scratch. In your phone, you have this platform known as, say, App Store or the Google Play Store. So what is it? This is more like a platform. You can use that platform to make the apps, and then you can just upload their apps, so you can download the apps from that platform. Okay, you are not required to build the whole operating system from the very scratch. The same thing is here also. Okay, so you're not required to build the whole open source blockchain platform. You can use this Drunix platform of the NPCI. Clear? So it is designed to accelerate enterprise adoption blockchain technology and support real world use of both public and private sector. Now, what is this enterprise adoption? Basically, as I mentioned, a blockchain, it's a public ledger generally. Okay, that means if you put an information, everybody will be able to access it. But if you make it enterprise, so only the people who are allowed, the organization who are allowed, they can only access the information, not everyone else. For example, this is your CIBIL score sheet. Okay, so any organization has given a data, but only the CIBIL or maybe the banks, bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, to which you allow will be able to access your information, not anyone else. This is called enterprise adoption of blockchain technology. Clear? So in case you want to go for tokenization, you want to make a platform, you can make a platform which has been shared by a few organizations. Clear? That is there. And it supports real world use for both public and private enterprises. Okay. It's a high performance distributed ledger platform built as an enhanced version of Hyperledger Fabric. Hyperledger Fabric is an open source. It is basically a Linux system. It's an operating system. On that you have made a ledger which is very much secured and decentralized. Clear? Now, production grade blockchain network management and orchestration. Apart from Falcon, NPC has also come up with this FIMI, Vigil AI and other finance model for India. Now it will promote data privacy, interoperability, governance and organizational control over the blockchain technologies. Clear? Tokenization, as I just mentioned, suppose there's a painting. Right? This painting is for 10 crore rupees. If it is 10 crore rupees, not everyone can buy this. But if you create a tokens of this, for example, a token cost of some 1 crore rupees only. So that means it is divided into 10 tokens. So now people can buy. 1 crore is less than 10 crore. So people can buy it, may promote investment and ownership also. This is called tokenization. Okay. So they represent ownership and over an underlying asset such as financial securities, real estate, commodities, artwork. So anything which has a value, anything which has a financial value could be tokenized. Remember this fact for the exam. It enables the fractional ownership. Fractional ownership was that there's one single paintings, but it has 10 owners now. Clear? This is called tokenization. Now, let's see this question. Which one of the following is not a use case of the Dronex platform? Tokenization of real worth is the case. Creation of the secure permission blockchain. This is a case. Shared databases across organizations. This is also a use case. Satellite-based navigation is not discussed. It is not operation or the fund of, it's a function of Dronex platform. Hence, it is not an answer. So answer would be D because they're asking for not a use case. Okay. Now, next, there are some new rules by the RBI with respect to the digital fraud compensation rule. You know, the cases of digital frauds are increasing in India and they are particularly targeting the vulnerable sections of the society. Clear? And for this, government RBI has come up with some set of rules. What are the rules? What in the existing, before that, that means the previous laws, only banks were responsible. Okay, that means banks were liable to compensate scammed customers if transactions were not even authorized by the customer, such as a successfully hacking incident. For example, you have not shared your OTP, your card pins with anyone, but somebody has stole your information from the bank or maybe from any centralized database, and that person has made some unauthorized transactions. So bank was liable to pay for it. Clear? But because of this RBI mandate, right, banks have invested a lot into their security. So now it is very difficult to get that zero click thing. So that is why more of this fraudulent activities are happening through a concept known as fraudulent electronic banking transaction. Fraudulent electronic banking transaction. What is happening over here? That these transactions are executed by a third party using credentials obtained from the person. Okay? That means if it is my account, the person, some other third party is obtaining things from me, directly from me. Previously, if I have not verified it, then if the transaction has taken place, bank will be liable. But now I have shared the details. Okay. So I have shared the details, but these details were taken either through deception or maybe coercively. You have seen that you might have heard of the issues of cyber arrest. Right. So in such cases, the person has even shared the details, then what will happen? So as per the RBI, means or executed by our customer by granting approval under force from the third party. Okay, so this is a time when banks fraud, especially digital transaction frauds, have become a growing concern. So because the banks they are not able to do it because it is more secure now, so they have come towards the vulnerable sections of the society through deception or by the force. Clear? However, you please understand that the instances have reduced, but the value has increased. That means they are now targeting high net worth individuals. Okay. Also remember one thing, that what is happening, the total incidents have reduced, but the value has increased. So that means they are now targeting the high net worth individuals as well. Clear? You can see the fraud cases are more than halved, 10,114, and the amount involved rose 46% to the some 48,000 crore rupees. Clear? Now what are the new rules in this background? This is important for you. It is like under the new mechanism for the losses of up to rupees 50,000 once in a lifetime. Up to rupees 50,000 once in a lifetime, victims are eligible for compensation of up to 85% of their losses or 25,000, whichever is less. How much RBI will pay? It will pay some around 25,000, which is up to the 80%, 85% of the total loss. Clear? Now, roughly 3/4 of the compensation will be paid by the RBI itself. The rest would be by the customers or the beneficiary bank. Right? Banks must resolve complaints regarding this within 45 days of the domestic and 60 days within the, if it is a cross-border fraudulent EBT, that is like electronic banking transaction has taken place. Clear? So now even in case there's a full accessibility of your information, OTPs or something, even then the person can claim a reimbursement from the RBI up to the given limit. Clear? So it is a compensation. Now consider the following statement regarding the new digital fraud compensation rules issued by the RBI. So the rules amend the RBI's 2017 circular on the limiting customers' liability in authorized electronic. This is correct. The new framework introduced the concept of fraudulent electronic. This is also correct. The rules will come into force permanently from 1st of January 2027. This is an incorrect statement. The rules will come as a pilot project from January 1, 2027 for a year, then may be expanded to the future. Maybe, not sure. So answer would be A only. Which of the following transaction would qualify as a fraudulent electronic banking transactions? A customer voluntarily transfer money to purchase shares? No. A third party executes a transaction using credentials obtained fraudulently from the customer. This is the right answer. Okay, now you have the digital platforms for MSMEs. There are multiple platforms that government has come up in order to support the MSMEs. The first one is Pradhan Mantri Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program Portal 2.0. Okay, it is a bank finance subsidy program for setting up new micro enterprises in the non-farm sectors. This is also to promote the MSMEs. It is integrated with the Jan Samarth portal that we had just discussed, where the creditors are linked with the lenders, enabling real-time exchange of the information with participating banks for loan processing, sanctions and disbursement. Clear? Second is Samadhan 2.0. It is like the, for example, if government or any organization has purchased something from the MSME, so they have to mention what are the dues and the date on which these dues would be given back to the MSMEs, because MSMEs are very much dependent on the liquidity. There is always a liquidity crunch in the MSMEs. So you cannot hold the dues for a longer period of time. For that you have the Samadhan 2.0 portal. Procurement and marketing portal scheme, where government will connect MSMEs with trade fairs and exhibitions so that they can get the more visibility. Okay, MSME Global Mart 2.0 portal. This is like more like ONDC, where MSMEs will be connected in order to have the nationwide supply and distribution. Clear? It is more like a open commerce, like e-commerce websites like Amazon and Flipkart. So government has built, this is ONDC of its own, where it will be connecting the MSMEs, right? Also MSME testing portal. Suppose you have made end-to-end digitization of testing activities carried out by MSME testing centers. So if you are making a product under MSMEs, government will build the testing facilities so that you can use the facilities directly. Okay, apart from that, there's MSME Idea Hackathon 6.0. MSME Championship Scheme is there, which will promote innovation and adoption advanced technologies among MSMEs. For example, we have seen this, the first article itself doing the same thing. Multilingual access to MSMEs in order to promote more, make it more accessible to the people. It is available in the 22 scheduled languages that are given in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution with the support of Bhashini. Right, and also new products by the Khadi Village Industrial Commission, which launch a range of innovative and eco-friendly products aimed at strengthening and promoting sustainable livelihood. Okay, so these were the all portals that were there to help the MSMEs. You can just copy it down in your notebook, and please remember, because MSME is a very prominent topic for your exam. Okay, now let's see this match the following. Samadhan, a reporting pending. This is Samadhan is pending. PMS dues, trade fair and exhibition, testing for digital testing services, all three are correctly matched. Answer would be 1A, 2B, 3C. Okay. Now, very important thing is WPI revision. So, government has approved the revision of the base year of the wholesale price index from 2011 to 23. The base year have been changed for a lot of things. You have to be very careful about it. Okay. This has been produced by the Office of Economic Advisor. Remember this fact. Now, in addition to that, government will also produce output producers price index, trial input producer price index. Okay, just understand it one by one. For example, first we have this WPI. Okay, that means wholesale producer index. So at the time of production, what is the cost? Clear? This is wholesale. But in addition to that, government will also check the input cost and also the output, so that we get to know that why there is an inflation at which stage, and because of this early warnings, government can take appropriate steps before this inflation is moving to the customer. Clear? For example, this is a person who is making, suppose, chairs. Okay, so the production cost of chair is some 30 rupees, just imagine. But I know that last year it was 30 rupees, this year it was 35 rupees. So that means there is an inflation at WPI level, but I have to check why there is an inflation. For example, is it because of the raw material? Last year it was for 20 rupees, this year it was for 22 rupees. That means this is one of the reason. Okay, or maybe the transportation cost has increased from 5 rupees to 10 rupees, and that is why it is the inflation at the output level. Because of that, the government is coming up with such sort of different indices to make process more smooth and to understand where the exact issue is there with respect to the inflation targeting, and if the prior information is available, it would be easier for decision making. Right, so let's see one by one. This is there. It will also release service producers price index for 7 sectors which are there: banking, securities, insurance, pension, railways, air passenger, and transport and telecommunication. Clear? So you will have input, producers, output, and also service sector, service producers index, price index also. Clear? Now, what are the key highlights? First of all, it is now broadened the basket from 697 to now the products would be 957. So please keep writing these things. These are very important. For the very first time, the renewable energy sources are also added, such as solar and power, into the basket of electricity category. Previously, it is only hydro, thermal that was there. Now we have also added solar and wind also, because now India is making a significant leap in this solar and wind energy, right? So that has already included for the very first time. Nuclear energy has also been added to the index basket, reflecting India's diversification landscape. Right? Secondly, crude, petroleum, and natural gas will be reclassified from primary article to the fuel and power category. Initially, there's a primary category and fuel was added there also. Now this is removed from this to fuel and energy basket, because it is now generally used for energy purposes only, right? So this is also a new update that is there. Weight assignments. So revised series will also have a gross value of output as the basis for assigning weight to the commodities rather than just the marketing. What is the issue before is that suppose you built 20 units, okay, and just 6 were sold. So these 6 were counted, not the remaining 14s were not counted. But now government will do that all 20, whether they are sold or not, immediately they would be counted, because now this will give the exact picture of the economy. Clear. Improved computation methodology now will compile using short-term formation using chain-based methods. Okay, so these were the new changes that were there. You have to remember with respect to the diversification, increase the number of items, that means baskets, renewable energy also, nuclear energy also, fuel is from the primary category to the fuel and electricity also, right? Okay, and also the weight assignment. Now weight assignment is for the products that are produced rather than when they are sold. Clear. This is the changes there. Now what is the frequency? So frequency is that WPI and output PPI would be compiled on a monthly basis. Clear. Then service PPI would be released quarterly. Okay, and now in order to have a smooth transition, both WPI and PPI will be released simultaneously for 5 years before the WPI is phased out, and it is more in sync with the things that has been suggested by the global agencies also. Okay, now let's see this question. Which of the following correctly explain the purpose of releasing both output PPI and input PPI? To calculate the retail inflation? No. To estimate GDP growth? No. To understand the movement of input and output prices and the passes through the producer inflation. Clear? Now consider the following statement with regards to India's price index reforms. This could be a potential question for prelims examination. Please be very careful on these articles. Okay. The base year of the revised wholesale price index has been updated to 2022 and 2023. India is introducing a new set of producer price index as part of this reform in line with IMF recommendation and advanced economy practices. This is also correct. Answer would be both 1 and 2 are correct. Okay, you can see the transition from WPI to PPI aligns with India's statistical framework with global best practices adopted by advanced economies and recommended by the IMF. All right. So this is there. Now herbicide tolerant mustard hybrids. Why? Because oilseeds demand is higher than that of supply. So what will happen? Import. Right? And import, there is outflow of dollars. Now because of this, first of all, already we are lacking in supply. Right? Supply is not that, and apart from that, this herbicide is reducing the yield of oil seeds. So India has to import more and more. In order to avoid this situation, farmers are set to begin wide-scale imidazoline resistant mustard hybrids. What is this? Basically, it is a parasitic weed known as orbanche, or also known as felifanche. What it will do? It will target the roots. Okay, it will target the roots of mustard seeds, and it will devoid of its water and minerals like that of nitrogen. Eventually, this plant will die, and this plant will die. There will be no production of the oil seeds, right? So that is there. Now in India, imported some around 60 million tons of about 1.6 lakh crore oils. So orbanche is a destructive plant parasite that attaches to the mustard plant and drains of water and nutrient. So now what is there? They are having a resistant mustard. Please remember that this is not GM crop. Okay, this is not GM crop. This is one thing you should remember. Unlike GM crops, these hybrids are developed a process called mutation breeding. Clear? Where scientists breed crops to preserve certain natural mutation. Okay, and now that because of this mutation, this will become resistant to herbicide. I hope this is clear. However, there are some opinions. Experts opines that the technology must be managed with care to prevent the weeds to evolving their own resistance. Clear? So this is also one thing. Which of the following correctly distinguish the newly developed IMI resistant mustard hybrids? So they have been developed through the mutation breeding. They are not genetically modification. Clear? Now Energy Transition Index, important, published by World Economic Forum. Okay, so 120 countries, 44 indicators, 2 sub-indices, that is system performance and transition readiness. This is the overall structure of this. The key finding is that advanced economies are leading this phase. 14 of the top 20 are the advanced economies. The Nordic countries, Sweden, Finland and Denmark are the top 3. China is highest from the Asia, that is on the 14th location. Continuing the scale, clean energy investment and record levels, India is on the 70th position. This is few things that you have to remember from over here. Right, let's see the transition readiness. So it is further divided into 2 parts. One is core enablers. Core enablers means regulations, political will, and also finance and investment, right? Enabling factors are cover innovation, infrastructure, education, and human capital. So the sub parts, these sub indices are further divided into two parts. That is there. Findings from India. So India has moved up 2 places and now it is in 70th rank. Score has been increased by 1.9%. That is also there. But significant development is this, that India was one of the strongest improver globally, right? One of the largest gains in transition readiness. System gains is supported by a sharp rise in infrastructure, improvements in equity, sustainable and financial investment. So India ranked 70th, up from 72, that is 2 places we are up, but globally it is one of the largest grower, especially in the terms of transition readiness. All right, the proportion of low carbon jobs in India, this is one thing you should remember, has increased by 24% in 2024, and hydropower emerging is the largest source of jobs in this sector. Okay, now let's see this. The Energy Transition Index 2026 has been released by World Economic Forum. Clear? Which of the following statements regarding India's performance in ETI 2026? So India showed improvement in equity, sustainability and financial investment parameters. That is correct. India's renewable energy sector jobs including hydropower reached 1.3 million, making up 25% increase from 2023. That is also correct. Answer would be both 1 and 2 are correct. Okay, so Andhra Pradesh APCNF wins Food Planet Prize. So we have Andhra Pradesh Community Managed Natural Farming has won the Food Planet Prize, leading one of the world's largest transition to the natural farming. So this is an initiative of the Raitu Sadhikara Samastha by Andhra Pradesh government. What they are trying to do for the small and marginal farmers, they are promoting that they should switch from chemical intensive to the natural agriculture. Clear? With this, they are promoting sustainability and also food security, soil health promotion in the state. This model is being replicated in 21 states and countries such as Sri Lanka, Indonesia and Zambia. This is all about the Andhra Pradesh program. This you can write as a case study when it comes to organic farming or maybe the food security or soil health card also. Clear? Food Planet Prize. What is this all about? It is given by Kurt Bergfors Foundation. Recognized initiative that could contribute to resilient, equitable and environmentally sustainable food system for the next decade. Clear? And it also has a cash prize of $1.5 million. Andhra Pradesh has won this prize. Following correctly describe the APCNF program. A centrally sponsored program? No. It is an initiative through Raitu Sadhikara Samastha to promote natural farming. This is the correct answer. Clear? Now next is coal exchange rules. So basically what happened earlier, there is one buyer, one seller. They used to have a transaction on the long-term basis. This was the case, right? And because of this, there is a lack of competition, fair discovery of prices was not there, right? And also it lacks innovation. Now what government has done with this coal exchange rules, now they have made it to one to many. So it is more like a stock exchange program where you can buy and sell coal. It is both for primary and secondary market. So this is more like a stock exchange program, right? So it would be implemented by Coal Controller Organization in December 2025, the authority responsible for registering and regulating coal exchanges. Clear? A coal exchange is an electronic trading platform that facilitates the purchase and sale of the coal between multiple buyers and sellers through the standardized procedure one to many. So what is its impact? One-to-many sales model to competitive many-to-many trading platform. Transparent and market-based price discovery would be there, and also public sector coal companies are expected to benefit from enhanced market participation through the platform. Okay, why? Because what is the issue? These mining companies selling it to their sellers on a long-term basis. So if there are new entity want to enter, it is difficult to get the raw material because there's a long-term agreement between the two. Now this has been resolved. Okay, so with reference to the coal exchange rules 2026, consider the following statements that have this question. The coal exchange is an electronic trading platform that facilitates the purchase and sale of the coal through a standardized procedure. Okay, the Coal Controller Organization has been designated as the authorities responsible for the registering and regulating coal exchanges. Okay, so this is also clear. Registrations granted to coal are valid for 10 years. It is valid for some 25 years, not for 10 years. So answer would be 1 and 2 both. Now, revised index of industrial production. So a lot of indexes, a lot of change in base years, and very important this year for your prelims examination. So Ministry of Stats and Program Implementation, again, it is there. Released the first official revised All India Index of Industrial Production, important. Clear? So you have to understand a few things. First of all, base year has been changed from 2011 to 22-23. Okay, and they have made it more representative, which highlights the dynamic economy of India. Clear? Now let's see what are the changes. First of all, water supply, sewage and waste management has been added, and the weightage has been given to 2%. Right? Electricity and gas supply is also there, and the gas supply has been added as well. Clear? Manufacturing sector highest, then you have the mining and quarrying, 11% gas. So this is the 10th revision of the base year of this industrial production. The first time it was in 1937 was the first base year. So for the first time, it expanded beyond the traditional sector of mining, manufacturing, electricity. So they have added gas supply for the first time, and also water supply, sewerage and water management for the very first time. This is, you should remember. Okay, mining data is now separately combined. Now initially there was just a mining data. Now they have diversified, so you will know whether they are metallic mineral, non-metallic mineral, rare earth minerals or whatever it is. Clear? So again, you will get an understanding of which sector is growing and what is the exact growth in a particular sector. That is also there. Right? Electricity generation also, it is for whether it is renewable energy, fossil fuel energy, nuclear energy, again that would be diversified in order to understand it better. Right? Also from the manufacturing sector, some new items are added and some old items have been removed. Okay, now this covers the 1042 products grouped in 463 items. For example, relevant articles, for example, CCTV cameras, okay, chips. So these have been added, and the obsolete items like that of kerosene, CFL, that has been removed from the list. Okay, because now they want to understand the real picture of India's industries. Clear? That is there. So new age products are added, old products are removed from the list. Weights are used in the revised index has been upgraded using gross value added items, and that is why it is 2.2% validation. This is manufacturing is the highest sector in terms of validation. That is why it has the highest weight as well. Okay, it also incorporates National Industrial Classification 2025 and includes provision for replacing factories which are shut down or non-operationals. Okay, to maintain representativeness. Clear? So which of the following statements about the revised IIP series? Let's see. It used updated weights derived from National Account Stats and the Annual Survey of Industries for 2022 and 2023. Clear? And new items such as rare earth minerals and vaccines have been added, while obsolete items like kerosene and CFL have been removed. So both of them are correct. Answer would be 1 and 2. Now, interest rate relaxation for FCNR and NRE deposits. What is happening here? Just understand two things, that RBI has come up with two schemes for these, NRE account and FCNRB. First is NRE account. So this is an NRE account, that is non-resident Indian accounts which is maintained in Indian rupees. For example, this person has opened an NRE account. Okay, there he is getting salary in dollars. Suppose he is the one who is in USA but want to have a savings in India. So in NRE account, this rupee would be transferred into Indian rupees, 8,700 rupees, right? Tomorrow, if the dollar depreciates, so government of India the bank would not be liable, and because this is maintained in the Indian currency, the exchange risk would be associated with the account holder only. Clear? That is there. Now, second is FCNRB deposit, a fixed term bank deposit that can open in India by NRIs, overseas citizens of India or person of Indian origin. These FCNR are maintained in the foreign currency. Okay, so for example, if the person had deposited $1,000, so after, if I assume that there's no interest, so after a certain time he will get $1,000 back, no matter if dollar is 72 or it is 101. Clear? So this is the difference between the two, and RBI has come up with these two provisions. Please understand one thing, that the interest on both of these things are exempted from the taxes in India, and also anytime there is no limit on that, they can take away the interest as well as the principal amount to the country whenever they want. That means they can withdraw at any time. Clear? What are the objectives? Objectives is to attract the large scale NRI deposits because they will come up in the dollars, and if dollars increase there, it will promote the resilience of the RBI also. Clear? So India's foreign exchange reserves will be increased without frequent intervention in the foreign exchange markets. If the inflow with dollar will increase, definitely rupee will strengthen. Okay, so that is there. Now consider the following statement regarding NRE accounts. Both principals and the interest of the NRE account can be freely transferred abroad at any time. This is there. Okay, interest earned on NRE is exempt from taxes in India for a non-resident under Indian tax law. This is also correct. Okay, this provisions has been made to promote the investment in India. I mean, a deposit in India. Okay, next we'll discuss about the summits and organizations. Let's quickly see. So you know, Iran-US war is going on, and Iran has stated that it will close the Strait of Hormuz, which is a major trade communication line globally, right? So what are the issues? Issue is that there are few things that you should understand. The legal freedom of navigation. We are just discussing that whether Iran can do it or not. However, things have changed. The US has also asking for penalty, some 20% security charges and all things. We'll discuss it in the upcoming edition for sure. The legal principles, freedom of navigation, understand the basics first. First of all, let's see whether Iran can do it or not. The heart of the matter lies in UN clause article 37 to 44, which talks about the straits used for international navigation, right? So in international navigation, the ships has a right to transit passage. Clear? So transit passage shall not be impeded. There shall be no suspension of the transit passage. This is given in these articles of the UN clause. Clear? Second, the logic is that a large share of the global trade depends on the narrow corridors, so that these logics are there so that the border states, because if you see there is one state, so you have one country here, one country here, this is an important sea line. So this provision were there so that these states cannot create a ruckus or cannot stop the international trade. They must not be weaponize the strait. That is why this was some articles were given in the UN clause. Strait of Hormuz is one of them. Clear? Before this provision also there was a Corfu Channel precedent. There is a case in Corfu Channel versus UK versus Albania in the International Court of Justice, where they have mentioned that the ships enjoyed unrestricted passage through a strait used for international navigation, right, during peacetime, as long as the transit does not threaten the coastal state security. During peacetime, you have a free time to go. Clear? So you have laws. So according to these laws, Iran cannot curtail it. However, there are some shortcomings. There is the area gray zone which Iran can tap. First is, experts believe that it is not airtight. There are some loopholes. For example, it is territorial waters. It is not high sea. For example, if the strait is in high sea, then these laws could be used. This is the territorial water, and on territorial waters, we know there is a sovereignty of the country. That is the one thing that Iran can use. Okay, so here this full high seas freedom of navigation does not apply automatically. This is one thing. Second, the innocent passage CMIT. So that is like what I mentioned. It is during the time of peacetime. Iran may say this is not a peacetime. And also, innocent passage is only when the security, the neighboring state is ensuring that the passage of a ship is not threatening to their security. But Iran can use this provision also, that passage of the ships from the Strait of Hormuz may threaten its security also. So that could be a challenge. The flawed canal analogy, right? Iran may also point out that there is a Panama Canal also, or Suez Canal also, where there are tolls are there. However, the argument is that those are man-made waterways. That is why there may be tolls. This is a natural waterway. Clear? The persistent objector argument, which is strongly in favor of Iran, that is like this objector doctrine states that if a state is exempt from emerging rule of customary international law, which is like safe passing transit, if the state is clearly persisting objected to that rule from the time it is forming, and Iran is one of the party which is not abiding by this law, they always have a problem with this issue. Second is a Iran domestic law. Okay, for example, Iran has made a law of marine areas of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the Persian Gulf and the Oman Sea, where they stated that they may stop the ships, the movement or any passage if it is threatening to the ecological sustainability. And because the ships which are passing through are of crude oils. So on this ground also, Iran may stop the passage. Right? However, this also depends on the doctrine of Committee of Nations, means the nations, they respect the local laws of the other states as well. So these are some major challenges that were there. However, the bigger picture is, which is still not clear, is whether this is a geopolitical issue or is it an economical warfare. Clear? So more things will be developed soon. We'll discuss more about it. Okay. However, what you should understand is that, concluding remark is that, for an energy dependent country like India, because we are very much dependent on the Strait of Hormuz, right? The episode is a reminder that the security of the vital sea lanes rests not only on the treaty, but the geopolitical will of the states that border them. Clear? That means the idea is that India has to diversify its market as well as its basket in order to become relevant. Okay. Now consider the following statements regarding the right of transit passage through UN clause. All the ships and aircrafts enjoy the right of continuous and expeditious navigation and overflight through straits used for international navigation. That is a true statement. The transit passage through international straits may be suspended during peacetime if the coastal states considered it necessary. This is an incorrect statement, because as per the UN clause, during the peacetime it could not be stopped. Right? So this is an incorrect statement. The principle of transit passage under UN clause applies to straits used for international navigation. This is correct. Answer would be 1 and 3 only. Clear? Now another significant development, okay, just tell me in the comment box who is the current president of BRICS. Right? So we have this joint declaration on the UNESCO under the BRICS joint development. What is happening? So BRICS Culture Working Group, they have a meeting in Varanasi, right? Please remember the city, Varanasi, where they have accepted that now they will be filing up the UNESCO heritage site on the joint nominations. Why so? Because you see, this is Eurasia, right? And here there's a land border. That means the civilization always has been across the borders. So many of the times what will happen, that when one country applies for some heritage, other country may have a objection to it, and because of that it is stuck now. It will promote a friction point of the diplomacy as well. So in order to avoid that situation, what they are doing, they will go for joint nominations. Clear? This is, you should understand. Second thing what you should understand is that, for example, let me tell you an example. For example, Huan Sang, right? So just tell me in the comment box, under whose reign Huan Sang came to India, what time? Okay, so you see Huan Sang's records have been jointly between India and China. So that could be a joint development between India and China, which is a significant development also, because India-China relations are not that good. This shows a little significant improvement among the bilateral relations. Second, if you see, we can talk about Buddhism, or maybe you can talk about Ramayana between India and Indonesia. Clear? So there are multiple things where you can have a joint declaration, and the another benefit is that, first of all, it will reduce the friction in the diplomacy. Second, there is no blockage from the other country also. Third, important thing is that under UNESCO, you can submit only 2 dossiers as an individual country per 2-year cycle. Okay, but joint declaration, there is no limit. So that is also a benefit which they are trying to see. Okay, now let's see UNESCO heritage sites. It has first World Heritage List, which consists of outstanding universal value, for example, natural, cultural, or mixed sites. Right? Then you have intangible cultural heritage, for example, music, ritual, craftsmanship, and other things. And also the memory of the world's register, which prevents documentary heritage, including manuscripts and archival records. Clear? So here we have a question. Let's see. World Heritage List. It is for the sites of outstanding universal, intangible is living tradition, and memory is this. Okay, so answer would be A. 1C, 2B, 3A are the correct options. Now, which one of the following are the examples of shared civilization heritage supporting BRICS joint nomination? So it is Ayurveda, not between India and Brazil. Ramayana between India and Indonesia would be the correct answer. Clear? Now let's see. United Nations Human Report Commissions has a report on Gaza, where they have accused that Israel has caused human rights violation in Gaza, basically the genocides. Okay, but the issue is that according to them, the children were not the incidental victims, but were directly targeted by the Israel during the warfare in Palestine. Clear? But the problem is that the UN Commission cannot impose penalties. Right? Its findings are service, but it is finding us as a documentary evidence in the other courts, for example, International Court of Justice or somewhere. Right? About the commission, if I tell you, so it is an independent international commission of inquiry on the occupied Palestinian territory was also reported the same issue, right? So this was set up in 2021, this commission on Gaza, right? UNHRC resolution is an independent body to monitor conditions in the occupied Palestinian territory, mandated to submit annual reports. And in this report, they have submitted that they have accused Israel of attempting genocide against the children in Gaza. Okay, this is currently chaired by Justice S. Muralidhar of India. Clear? Now, genocide under international law. So, under 1948, U.S. Genocide Convention Article 2 defines genocide as an act which is committed with an intent to destroy the whole group, community, whether in part, a nation, ethnical or racial or religious group. Okay. The 5 listed acts: first is killing the members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to the members of the group, deliberately inflicting conditions to the life calculated to bring about the physical destructions, right? Imposing measures such as prevention of birth or giving forcibly transfer children of group from to the other groups. So these are the 5 things, but the issue is that despite everything, it is very difficult to prove genocide in the International Criminal Court. Clear? Why? Because you have to establish the intent, that is a mental element. Now it is very difficult to prove the intent, that what was the intent, whether it was an operational issue or it was intent that was done with the intent to finish the group. Clear? So that is why it is very difficult. Now under Article 2 of the 1948 Genocide Convention, it's consider the following, what it includes. So definitely killing the members of the group, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, right? Forcibly transferring children to the group for another group, because if you stop the new births or you transfer the children, definitely the group will age and it will die naturally. Clear? Now Shangri-La Heroes, what you need to understand is that Shangri-La Heroes dialogue took place in Singapore. It is a premier Asia's Defense and Security Forum. Clear? Also known as Asia Security Summit as well. It is organized by International Institute of Strategic Studies, which is headquartered in London. The dialogue covers both traditional as well as non-traditional security issues, reflecting the full spectrum of Asia-Pacific security challenges. So please remember about the Shangri-La dialogue. Which of the following correctly describes Shangri-La dialogue? It's Asia's premier defense and security forum organized by the International Institute for Strategic Studies in London. Alright. Now BRICS Indore. Previous culture was in Varanasi. This is Indore. This is about the agriculture. So you can remember agriculture minister is also from MP. Okay. So this meeting was also in Indore, MP. Clear? So please remember this. Here you have an anonymous adoption of Indore Declaration. What is Indore Declaration all about? It is about the agriculture. Now what are the declaration? First, there are 4 priority areas to promote food security, trade in agriculture, state supply chain should be intact, also the climate, so we should promote more climate resilient agriculture, and also the technology. Okay, strengthening technology innovation for partnership for the food system and among the BRICS members. Clear? For this, they have also launched 4 new platforms. First is Global Forum for Farmers' Right in Seed System. What they are trying to ensure that farmers have to have the rights over the seed. The seed should not be capitalized. Okay. BRICS Network on Digital Agriculture. They will try to bring all the information technologies, AI, IoTs, in order to have the data-centric policy based on the agriculture, so that early actions could be taken to avoid loss in the agriculture sector. Okay, BRICS Center for Excellence in Agroecology and Regenerative Agriculture is also there. BRICS AgriN, that is Agriculture Input, Genetic Resources Information Network, which would be sharing among the different members of the state. Clear? Of the BRICS. Now other key, BRICS Grain Exchange. So what will they do? They will propose exchange to strengthen food grain trade and stabilities. That is more like a barter system. Give wheat, take rice. So it is basically among the BRIC nations, they try to promote a trade where they will be supplying the grains. Knowledge to Action Hub, existing human resource agriculture research platforms upgrade to fast track research to field transition. Okay, and also BRICS Urban Research and Knowledge Park, where they will be sharing the best practices in urban development also. Clear? So what about the BRICS Declaration? Why it is so important? Because it is a collective will to showcase that the future of agriculture cannot be left to the market forces alone. So we are not saying that market forces should be removed from the agriculture market, but they must be regulated. And this is what Indore Declaration is all about. Okay. Another thing is that BRICS Urbanization Forum and Urban Declaration, again they have come together to collaborate, coordinate in order for urban governance and to share the best practices among them. Alright, so let's consider the following statements regarding the BRICS Indore Declaration. The 16th BRICS Agriculture Ministers meeting was held in Indore under India's BRICS presidency. Clear? So that is correct. The declaration recognizes that the future of the agriculture cannot be left to the market forces alone. The declaration places farmers at the center while integrating climate resilience and the digital innovation into the food system. This is also correct, right? So this is 1, 2, and 3 all are correct statement. Now this is just a basic understanding you should understand. That is EU Western Balkan Summits. That means there are 6 candidates. So you have Albania, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Kosovo, Montenegro, and North Macedonia and Serbia. And the meeting is there so that they can bring them into the EU. That's all. Okay, so this is towards getting to the EU. However, in a significant development, you see the India-Canada relations are now back on track. Clear? In this background, Canada has asked for IO-era dialogue partner bid. Indian Ocean Rim Association, Canada want to become a dialogue partner. Now, why Canada is significant? Because Canada has a huge experience to maintain a long coastline. Okay, so coastline experience and expertise in maritime safety, security, connectivity, and ocean governance can help strengthen the capacities of IORA members. So that is why they are also positively thinking of this bid. Let's see, but more about for exam is IORA. What is important? It was established in 1997 of the countries bordering the Indian Ocean, headquartered in Mauritius. Okay, currently they have 12 members and 12 dialogue partners, and Canada want to become the 13th. Clear? Objective I had discussed in the previous discussion also. Previous month also I have discussed about the IORA, where I have discussed these priority areas with you. And there also I have mentioned that please remember that women empowerment is also one of the agenda over there. However, you may get confused in the exam if you don't give it attention to it. Okay, observer status. IORA has observer status in UNGA as well as African Union and UNCTAD as well. So it's a very significant development. It is a very significant organization for the India and its Mahasagar doctrine in the Indian Ocean region. Clear? Now, okay, this we have discussed. So they are for the European Union. Clear? Appointment, if I tell you. So Vivek Agrawal has been appointed as the first Vice President of FATF from India. This is the very first time India has this position. Okay, it reflects India's growing credibility in international fight against illicit financing and stopping the money laundering as an active shaper, not merely a rule follower. So this shows the increasing strength, increasing power of India in the global platforms. Okay, again, more important is that about FATF. What is FATF? It is an organization of the G7 countries, right? Headquartered in Paris. 2 major developments hai. First is anti-money laundering and combating financing of the terrorism. These are 2 major areas where they work, and how they will do mutual evaluations of the member countries. Clear? They have 2 lists, grey list and a black list. Grey list means jurisdictions are under observation. More monitoring is required because there are some suspicion with respect to these money laundering or terror financing. Pakistan was in grey list for a long time. Now you have another is blacklist. Blacklist is a high risk jurisdiction subject to call for action. Clear? So this is there. Which of the following statement regarding India's first FATF Vice President is correct? Vivek Agrawal has become the first Indian to be appointed as a Vice President of FATF. Right? Next, we'll be discussing about the defense and securities. Okay, the first one is Supreme Court's Victim Protection Plan for Human Trafficking Survivors. I had discussed it in the previous edition of the recitals all as well. I recommend you to please go and watch that and revise it again, so that you will be able to connect it in a better manner. Okay. So what is that? Supreme Court has came up with a victim protection plan for human trafficking and commercial sexual exploitations, right? So Supreme Court has come up, okay, we are coming with a plan, but that plan will be valid only when Parliament is not making a dedicated law, okay? Because legislation is a function of legislature, right? Supreme Court is just filling in the gap. So this is judicial activism. Clear? That is there. Now, what is this victim protection plan covers? Supreme Court has mentioned that what are the steps needs to be taken when law enforcement agencies are going for a rescue. The first thing is that during rescue, they are saying the victims must not be abused, they must not be forced there must be no sort of photography or videography that may reveal the identity of the victim. This is the one thing that you should understand, because dignity is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Clear? That is one thing. Post-rescue, what they are required to do. So victims cannot be kept in a lockups. Okay. Must be provided legal aid, medical care and counseling immediately. Right? Must be produced before appropriate authority without any delay. Lastly, magistrate must hear the victim before ordering long-term custody or rehabilitation. That means they must have a right to speak about their issues. Suppose if the victims have been transferred to a protective home, so please, Supreme Court has mentioned that please ensure that those preventive houses are not the replica of prisons. That means what they're trying to say is that there must be a better situation with respect to the facilities. Okay. Each survivor has to assign a case worker and given an individual care plan covering healthcare, education, livelihood support and access to government schemes. That would be there. Okay. So let's see the key highlights of the judgment first, then we'll see the further details. First is on dignity, what the Supreme Court said. As I mentioned, dignity, Supreme Court has mentioned, is a part of right to life. Okay, so it comes with the fundamental right under Article 21. Second, it said that dignity is not a fixed condition. It is shaped by circumstances, and if the person has no material wealth, that is, a person is materially deprived, that means suppose somebody was forced into this sexual profession, that person would be deprived from materialism, that means that person would be under poverty, and in this case, dignity is diminished very fastly. Okay, so it actively creates condition which dignity can be stripped away. That is why trafficking victims are structurally vulnerable. Okay. Second, on rehabilitation, it said it is a constitutional right. Drawing from a Bandhua Mukti Morcha case, Supreme Court stated that just rescue is not enough. You have to plan for rehabilitation as well. Okay. Now, there's a problem with Section 17 of ITPA Act. What is stated that it has an category. Okay, so women trafficked into prostitution, suppose women trafficked but later continued voluntary, or the women who entered sex work entirely voluntary. All of these three have taken as a single category, which is a problem, right? The court held that this one-size-fit approach risks violating rights and dignity, because you cannot treat a person who entered voluntary with a person who was forced into that. Clear? The key direction given by the court: magistrates must first conduct an inquiry to identify voluntary adult workers for whom rescue does not apply. Clear? If the person is into this work voluntary, rescue is not required. So that means the magistrate has to do that thing first. Second, a victim's consent must be primary condition. Victim consent is the first primary condition which you should understand, ki whether all the decision about detention or you are sending it to the protective house, it should be based on the victim's own decision. However, expert stated that it is very difficult to find the voluntary and involuntary. Okay, so women who entered coercion after years, they assume it as a part of life and may look like more voluntary. So that is one of the thing, right? Because we know there is a social stigma associated with this. We know there is a social ostracization would be there. So many of the people who were forced into this, later on it become the part of their life, sadly, right? So that is there. Supreme Court also stated that if you are sending a person to a rehabilitation house, ensure supply education, government schemes, and also they must have a bank accounts for the long-term residents, and also mechanism to report abuse within homes must be established. We have seen multiple times in the previous years, there are reports of such things. Also, anti-human trafficking units should be established under the Deputy Superintendent of the police ranks or above. Okay, high profile. The AHTU to be noticed as police stations with powers to register and investigate trafficking cases as well. Okay, so that is there. What courts did not do and what it asked parliaments to do, because Supreme Court don't want to breach the line of the separation of power. The bench declined to create organized crime investigation agency as originally promised by the government. Okay, government has promised, okay, we'll make one. People requested Supreme Court to make one, but Supreme Court said we are not going into that domain because that is a domain of executives and legislatures. Clear. Rethink mandatory fixed period detention in protective homes. Recognize the right of voluntary sex workers, noting that the right of sex workers can exist without there being a right to sex work. There's a difference, right? This is the Gandhian philosophy. So what they are trying to say is that there is no right to sex work in India. But if somebody is into that work, still that person has some rights. Clear? So this is a argument that is there. Significance, it shifts the frame from criminalization to victim-centered justice. Abhi tak, what was the issue? That if somebody is into the sex works, that person is criminalized. Now it is more about the rehabilitation of that person. Clear? So this is how things have changed. Right? Social justice, Indian security, very, very important topic this. You may prepare for it. Okay. Which one of the following is not provided under the Supreme Court's Victim Protection Plan for survivors of the human trafficking? So this is victims may be detained overnight in police station until further inquiry. Clear? There cannot be, which is finally not provided under the Supreme Court's victim plan. This is not given. Supreme Court said there must not be delay. You must have to send it to the magistrate, right? No detention is allowed. Consider the following statements regarding the Supreme Court's victim protection plan. It will operate until Parliament enacts a dedicated law of protection. That is correct. It shifts the framework from criminalization to the victim-centered justice. This is correct. The court directed the immediate establishment of the organized crime investigation agency. This is incorrect because it has left to the Parliament. Now, India's land ports expansion plan. Next, basically this land ports is nothing but they are integrated checkpost. Okay, they are very helpful for movement, trade, and also the pilgrimage and everything, right? So don't take it as like a dry port or something. No, they are this land ports mean the integrated checkpost. Issue is that now India want to build more in order to promote, have a good relation with their neighbors. India want to promote more land ports, and additionally 74 are supposed to be built in different phases, right? Phases you are not required to understand, not required to mug up. What you need to understand that currently we do not have any land port. This land port with China, right? So India has proposed 3 integrated checkposts with China. Okay, one is in the Namiya, Himachal Pradesh. Then you have Gunji in Uttarakhand and Nathula in Sikkim. So places in news, this may be important for you. Another development is that India has also proposed 6 with the Pakistan. Currently we have 3, but only 1 is operational. That is our Atari border. After this Pulwama attack, other are stopped. Okay, so 6 proposed are in Jammu Kashmir, Chakanda Bagh, Jammu Kashmir. Okay, you have Titwal in Jammu Kashmir, Adusa in Jammu and Kashmir, and also Atari railway section Punjab, Hossainiwala in Punjab, Munabo railway station Rajasthan also. So the complete coastline, if you see, we are trying to have integrated checkpost. Right. Others highest is with Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Myanmar as well. So this is what you have to understand. This is what in the planning. That would be in different phases. The first phase is basically with the Bhutan, Nepal, and Indonesia. Clear? I mean Myanmar, not Indonesia, my bad. Okay, about land port in India. So what is a land port? It is basically an integrated checkpost where it is managed by the Land Port Authority of India. Key function are integrated checkpost hai. So it will be you have international trade and travels, several key functions like customs and revenue collection, immigration and security check, health and quarantine, everything that would be there on that border only. Clear? So currently operates 15 with Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Okay, and there's a huge untapped potential over there. So the gap, it has some 4,44,000 crore rupees trade could be generated if there are integrated checkposts with these states. And it also highlights the India's neighbors first policy. Okay, you can quote with this. Now, what are the significance of proposed land ports? First of all, economic. There's a untapped potential of 4.4 lakh crore rupees. Strategic. Ports along China-Pakistan border signal diplomatic intent alongside security preparedness. Connectivity supports India's neighborhood first policy, and also it promotes a soft power diplomacy for India. Okay, so land port management system. It is a Ministry of Home Affairs launched Vinimay portal for the same. It enables seamless coordination among the different agencies, multiple stakeholders, custom, immigration authorities, all those things, real-time exchange of logistics and regulatory information to promote easier traveling and also the trades. Clear? Land Ports Authority of India, it is a statutory body under the Department of Water Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, developing and managing land ports. Clear? On this background, you have this question. India presently has no operational land port at the China border. This is correct. However, we are planning to build 3, right? Sikkim, Uttarakhand, and Himachal Pradesh. Trade through the LOC facilitation centers Salamabad and Chakanda Bagh has remained suspended since 2019 after the Pulwama attack. Clear? This is true. The proposed expansion give the highest number of new land ports to Pakistan. No. This is answer 1 and 2 only. Clear? Now, DNA records under the CRPI Act, right? So this is Criminal Procedure Identification Act 2022. They have mentioned that the identification marks, for example, your iris, fingerprints, speak. Okay, so all these things would be taken as a sample in order to identify the in the criminal procedures, right? Now, the background is that over 1 lakh DNA profiles have been generated and stored in a central database operated by National Crime Record Bureau, NCRB. Okay, this is their thing. Now you should understand what is the issue. In order to promote criminal justice system and fast track the processes, government has came up with this portal, right? So what they're trying to do, modernize identification techniques in line with the global standards, strengthen the criminal justice system through scientific evidence, and also improve conviction rates through the accurate identification. Clear? It will also solve interstate crimes through a unified national database. Now, persons whose data may be collected. So, if a person is convicted or arrested for offences punishable with rigorous imprisonment for more than 1 year, samples could be taken. Okay, person ordered to give security for good behavior or maintaining peace, magistrate may order in other cases also. Clear? And also, if the person is convicted or arrested for an offence, biological samples will be taken forcibly only. The two things, forcibly only if the offence against a woman or a child and the offence carries a imprisonment for minimum 7 years. That means if the imprisonment under the clauses is the minimum for 7 years, or the act is against the women or child, then the samples could be taken forcibly as well. Okay, person detained under preventive law detention, unke bhi you can take the samples. Okay, or on the order of magistrate, whether the person is arrested or not, the samples could be taken. Clear? So magistrates have a very vast power in this act. Now, type of measurements collected, what all they will be collected? Your fingerprints, footprints, DNA profilings, physical and biological samples like body, saliva, blood. Okay, behavioral attributes like signature and handwritings could be taken as well. Who are the authorized agencies? State police, and you have NIA, clear, and also prison authorities could be taken. Central authorities like CBI, NIA, NCB, and also state police, prison authorities can take as well. Implementation current status, what is the implementation happening? So some 2,600 measurements collection units established across the country, right? So it was there, it would provide instant matching capabilities across the countries and has already helped solve over interstate criminal laws. For example, for this government has came up with some of the things. We'll read more in detail in the subsequent articles. There's also another article is also there where they have mentioned about this act, CRPI, we'll see in detail. Isme kya hai? That it is just that how much have elected, right? Now, how it would be collected? So government has come up with several portals where, for example, a person is suspected, okay, so its fingerprints are taken. Immediately the police officer will try to match this with the national database. If they are matched, the person could be arrested immediately. Okay, so these are the benefits. However, there are very vast powers, right? So the data is stored for some 75 years. Can you imagine? Okay, now let's see one by one. The Criminal Procedure Identification Act seeks to strengthen criminal investigation through scientific evidence. This is correct, right? The Act authorizes collection of the iris and retina. That is also correct. The records maintained under the Act are deleted automatically after 10 years. This is incorrect statement. Answer would be 1 and 2 only. Clear? So here you have retained up to some 75 years. Okay. Now AN-32 crash in Assam. So again, some 5 AIF Indian Air Force personals were killed in this. So please understand there are 3 major crash of AN in the last decades, which originating the debates whether the aging fleet of the Indian Air Force. Okay, it is Soviet origin, twin engine, turbo military transport. This is because it is twin engine, so it requires minimum ground infrastructure. It is very important to have operations in the difficult terrains. Okay, are used to troop transport, cargo delivery, paratrooping operations, limited bombing rules as well. It has a combat record in Kargil War and Operation Parakam, but please remember this, AN, which is known as Antonov AN-32, is a Soviet origin twin engines. Basically all the, if you see Soviet origin or Russian planes, okay, Sukhoi and all those, they are twin engines. If you see the USA, they are single engines. So this is just for your understanding. You may find which correctly describes it is a Soviet origin twin engine turboprop military transport. Now Project Kusha, important development for your exam. Project Kusha is a long-range indigenous surface-to-air missile defense system. It is like an alternate to the S-400 of the Russia. Clear? It is homegrown answer. Now it has 3 interceptor, M1, M2, M3, 3 variants. M1 range up to 150 kilometers, M2 250, and M3 350 to 400 kilometers in the range. Right? So Defense Acquisition Council has granted acceptance, and by 2030 expected operational deployment would be there. This is a part of mission Sudarshan Chakra. That means layered defense with respect to aerial threats, launched by the Prime Minister Modi on the Independence Day of 2025. Clear? Which talks about the multi-layered air missile defense system. Why multi-layered? Because you know this is a time warheads has changed. It is missiles, drones, and sometimes very cheap drones. We have seen the US-Iran initial days. What happened? Iran was using very cheap drones, and US has to use very costly defense mechanism in order to neutralize those drones. Okay, so that is why we have to have the layered approach, and it is very successful in the Operation Sindoor. Recently happened. Okay, so it has a full architecture. This mission Sudarshan Chakra has a full architecture. One is a long-range system like Project Kusha. Kusha is a long-range surface-to-air missile defense system. Please remember. It also has quick reaction surface-to-air missiles, very short-range air defense missile system, ballistic missile defense, and future-directed energy weapons also. All these, if you club together, this will become Sudarshan Chakra, India's defense architecture. Clear? Project Kusha, long-range surface-to-air, strategic autonomy. This will not, because India is no more dependent on the S-400. You have to have strategic autonomy, right? No matter how good someone is in foreign relations, there is no permanent enemy, there is no permanent friend. So India has to go for strategic autonomy, right? Also, it has a battle-tested credibility in Operation Sindoor. Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense would be promoted as well, right? So let's see which of the following best describe Project Kusha. It is an indigenous anti-ballistic missile system designed exclusively for naval platforms. No. Indigenous long-range surface-to-air missile system being developed to establish a layered air defense architecture is the correct answer. Clear? Again, another question, which of the following statement regarding Project Kusha? It is intended to reduce India's dependence on imported long-range air defense system. The system is planned to be integrated with the Indian Air Force Integrated Air Command and Control System. This is correct. Designed to counter only ballistic missiles. This is incorrect. Okay, so answer would be 1 and 2, both. Now, India's Navy's triple commissioning. Triple commission means 3 ships are commissioned together, which shows the manufacturing skill and the level of scale of India. For example, so we have 3 indigenously built warships, Dunagiri, Sanshodhak, and INS Agray, okay, in Kolkata. Remember, one by one, these ships has 75% of the components which are indigenous, means MSME say they have been connected, right? Now, understand one by one. INS Dunagiri is a blue water warrior. That means it is for the long ocean operations, right? So it is under Project 71A. Okay, so it is for the blue water operation, like fighting far out at sea, both conventional and non-conventional threats. Other ships, sister ships in the Project 17A, please remember Project 17A is for warships, the blue water warrior ships. Okay, so you have INS Nilgiri, Himagiri, Taragiri, Udaygiri, Mahendragiri, and Vindhyagiri. Remember these names. These are Dunagiri, these are the attack ships of India for the conventional and non-conventional warfares in the open seas, right? Then you have INS Sanshodhak. This is I beneath the sea. This is for the survey vessel. It will survey about the map the sea, water depth, seabed features, navigational routes, and port approach channels, right? So this is the 4th and last ship of the Sandhya class SVL. Clear? Then you have INS Agray. This is the smallest among the 3, but it is the most important. Clear? It is an anti-submarine warfare shallow watercraft of Arnala class. This is very important. It is lightweight. It has lightweight torpedoes, indigenous anti-submarine rockets, and also sonar system. So this is very, very important. Other are Anjadeep, Amini, Androth, Agray, Abhay, and Akshay. Clear? So remember these things, that indigenously built simultaneously, which shows the development scale of India, and it is also have a force multiplier effect on India's defense mechanism. Right? Ship and primary role. INS Dunagiri It is anti-submarine warfare in shallow water. Dunagiri, you can see it is a blue water champion, right? So it is a blue water combat operations. Then we have Agre. Agre is for submarine. Sanshodhak is for this purpose. So answer would be 1C, 2B, 3A. Remember, this is given over here as well, right? Now 26th All India Fingerprint Conference 2026, right? What is this? So Minister launched 4 new NCRB applications: NCRB Abhigyan, CPI Prosecution 2.0 and E-Forensics. So we have to discuss. What did I discuss? CRPI. Now I will be adding it to here, right? This is NCRB Abhigyan. This is an application enabling field police officials to access the National Fingerprint Database. This is what I was mentioning. State police, central agencies, and also prison authorities, they will have the access to NCRB Abhigyan, which is an application. Okay. For example, there's some riots just happened, or there's some issues happened. So what will they will just immediately take up the fingerprints and they will match it through this application only. So even if it is an interstate issue, it would be immediately checked and the person could be arrested, right? Second is CRPI, crime person identification. Here, facial recognition, iris, DNA matching, it enhances identification accuracy and helps the identify repeat offenders, okay, and suspects captured on CCTV footage also. So that is also there. Then you have E-Forensic 2.0. This is to connect the forensic labs, forensic architecture in India with the agencies so that it would be on a faster pace, right? Here it will ensure that sample registration, the date when this was submitted, who is the scientist who is handling the samples, okay, what is the workflow management, what is the pending issue, how many tests have been covered, this all would be there in order to speed up the process. Lastly, you have the e-prosecution. In e-prosecution, you will be connecting the different agencies, for example, judicial agencies, law enforcement agencies, and the forensic agencies always. Clear? And the idea is that we have to complete the whole process from FIR to the conviction within the 3 years in order to speedy justice. Okay, so that is there. Which of the following applications launched during the 26th All India Fingerprint Conference 26 enables a real-time suspect identification using certified fingerprint scanners? It is NCRB Abhigyan, right? Now, next is drug control in India. It's a vision document 26-29 and NCRB annual report 2025. Here are some significant development which you have to be very careful of, right? So first of all, the vision document on drug control has strategic foundation, demand reduction, supply reduction, and rehabilitation. What they're trying to do, first of all, they said idea is very clear: detect, disrupt, and destroy. This is for the channels, but for people, you have to first of all try to reduce the demand so that it is not demanding. With this, we will be able to reduce the supply, but also we have to go for rehab. Clear? So this is one thing. Second is a now core shift. What is the process so far is that they want to take on individuals. Okay, so now rather than individuals, they would like to go for dismantling the entire networks so that there is no supply. Clear? Whole of government approach means that all the organization of the government bodies, police, law enforcement agencies, narcotics, information, everyone will be working together, right? Following the money. That means the financial investigation will become mandatory, in major cases in the act, right? Global reach. Government will use CBI to show cause, red corner notices in order to dismantle or to arrest the person. Okay, technology. So that is there. Technology, surveillance, anti-drone systems, AI, machine learning, that would be used for that. Synthetic drugs are also under the radar now. Okay, for example, we have mephedrone, percussor, chemical controls would be tightened. Industries must flag suspicious transactions voluntarily. So this is now on the industries. So this is the document vision with respect to drug control on 26 and 29. Prominent features, right? Now, what is the NCRB annual report? This is more important. You have to understand a few things. The first thing is that the records all-time high seizure of more than 1,200 tons of narcotics. So the seizure is all-time high. There are two things. First, either the government crackdown is really high, or the incidences have increased like many things. Clear? So one of the reason could be there. Second, the seizure range from plant-based drugs to synthetic substances as well. Thirdly, there's a shift. What do you need to understand? That you have golden triangle and golden crescent, right? But the shift is that now Afghanistan is not the major supplier because Taliban has a crackdown on opium cultivation. But the Myanmar has become the top because of the, first of all, there is a lack of elected government over there, and also because of the lack of economic activities. So because of this, there's increase in the drug production in Myanmar, and they are now, that drug production, produced drugs are entering into India through the northeast, Nagaland, Manipur area. From there, they are getting into the Assam, and then to the heartland India is coming through. Here, this is one of the shifting that you should understand. Myanmar take over the Afghanistan. Okay, the eastern front, Manipur, Mizoram and Nagaland face the sharpest exposure. Okay, and also the free movement regime was there. Okay, on the India-Myanmar border. So this has turned peripheral transit zone into the active staging group for the distribution into the Indian mainland. This is one of the challenge. Clear? Apart from that, you have the two corridors were highlighted. First is the Manipur corridor and second is the Champai corridor in Mizoram. Remember these names. Manipur corridor and Champai corridor in Mizoram. And through there, they are getting into the Assam, and from Assam to mainland India. Right? The western fronts. Here, differences. Eastern front, different approaches used. On the western fronts, it is by the use of drones. You have seen many of the times, you see in the news, in the Punjab area especially, the police has shut down few drones from the Pakistan or somewhere. So these drones, Punjab hits the hardest. Clear? Also, it is not limited to just Punjab or the northeastern state, other coastal states. For example, you have Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat. These states are also there through the, generally through the ship, this fishing vessels, which are generally bypass the standard surveillance. Clear? Also, there is a problem with respect to digital trafficking. For example, Telegram and encrypted apps. According to the report, these apps have been used as a deep web where it is very difficult because of this encryption, and they are not supporting in the investigation as well. Clear? Emerging threats to what? For example, nitazines, a class of synthetic opioids said to have 500 times more potent than that of heroin, is now available in India through these routes. So we have to be more vigilant. Okay, so conclusion is that India's drug threat has changed shape, right? Because from western to eastern part. The response too must shift from individual seizure to network dismantling. The vision document attempts exactly this shift, backed by legal reforms, technology, and a whole of government approach. Clear? Now see this question. Which of the following developments has been identified as the single biggest change in the India's illicit opium supply according to the NCB annual report? So this is Myanmar has overtaken Afghanistan as the leading source of illicit opium in India. Clear? Now Netra, AEWNC and system receives final operation clearance. So this is basically an airborne early warning and control system developed by the Center for Airborne Systems. Bengaluru was accorded the final operational clearance. Please understand one thing. You know that Earth is a geoid shape, right? So if you have a radar on the ground, you may not be able to witness from an enemy aircraft from the distance because of the Earth is a circular in shape or geoid in shape. Hence, to avoid that situation, now there will be airborne surveillance, that's all. Nothing from this topic. Okay, so this is like India has become the 5th country to develop this capability, use a force multiplier. To understand one thing, from rather than have a ground station, you have a radar over here, you hear, but you will not be able to watch this ship. Okay, because it is not in the sight. So they will have a airborne radar. This is called the Netra. Clear? So now you have the eyes in the open seas as well. Okay, so that means in air also there's an airborne flight. There you have the radars in order to see a thing from the very early point, so that they can have a communication with the defense mechanism on the ground level. Clear? Now India became the 5th country to develop this capability, used a force multiplier in 2019, Balakot strikes and Operation Sindhu. Okay, so 6 more are required. They will be delivered shortly. Which one of the following best describe the Netra AEW and C systems? So an indigenous airborne early warning system integrated on the Embraer aircraft, which is of a Brazilian origin. So just the aircraft on which it would be established is of Brazilian origin, right? So this will have a radar from a distance region. So here it will understand before it is very close to the Indian airspace. Assam Nagaland oil deal, a 30-year energy opportunity. Understand one thing, if you can see This is basically a railway line passing through from Assam. Okay, so this green area is of Assam as per the current boundaries, and this is the Nagaland, right? So there's a demand, there's a fight happening between these two states because of this border dispute. Clear? According to the Nagaland, this boundary should be here, but for Assam, boundary is here. And because of this, there was a friction. So the two states were not able to decide what is the boundary, and because of this, this area, which is very crucial for petroleum and reserves, was untapped. It was not explored for the last 30 years. Clear? Now, there's a MOU has been signed between Center, Nagaland and Assam that now border dispute is not settled yet. Okay, this MOU is not about the border settlement, but they have assumed, okay, this is the national wealth, this is a national resources which must be utilized. Hence, they will allow the exploration and the security and safety of the equipments of the workers. Clear? And because of that, the revenue sharing would be 50-50. Also, in addition to that, Nagaland is allowed not just on this border, but in the entire state of Nagaland, government can go in for the explore for the petroleum. This is all about from this article. Clear? So that is there. This agreement shows the Nagaland return to oil production from after 31 years. Clear? So this is important. Which one of the following is the most significant feature of the new Nagaland-Assam oil MOU? It permanently settles the border. No, border dispute is not settled yet. It is just a arrangement. Okay, so it allows exploration to continue despite the unresolved border through a coordinated framework, right? So about this MOU, there's another question. It covers more than 1,000 square kilometers of the disputed border area. It provides a 50-50 resource sharing arrangement. It permits exploration only in 6 already connected oil fields. No, Nagaland is allowed that India can explore into the other part of the Nagaland state as well. Now, CIPRI yearbook, you know, it is for Stockholm. Report on International Peace Research Institute 2026 yearbook has been reported, and there are 2 important aspects that you should understand. First, India's nuclear stockpile has increased. Clear? So initially it was around 180, now it is 190. Pakistan is stable, 170. Okay, so India now has 190 warheads. That is there. Secondly, China's arsenal has also increased from 600 to 620 during this period. Clear? That is also there. Now, the most important part is that the report flagged a significant shift in India's appear to be moving towards deploying warheads on active launchers, a departure from its traditional posture. You know, India has a no first use policy. So generally in the peacetime, India do not deploy warheads in the active launchers. But according to this report, India has done away with this policy. So demating is no more there. India has deployed it into the canisters even in the peace times. Clear? For the first time, CIPRI estimate that India has deployed some 12 nuclear warheads at present. It has been assumed that India stores warheads separately in the peacetime. Our doctrine of demating consists with its no first use policy. Clear? Now there is a shift from this as per the CIPRI report. Government has not officially stated anything on this. Clear? This is one thing. Second, military expenditure, if I tell you. So according to this, India retained the world's 5th largest military spender. Okay, so you have US, China, Russia and Germany, then India. However, it has increased by some 8.9% over the year, some around 10 lakh. This 92 billion expenditure was there, right? Now, India ranks behind only US, Russia, China and Germany. I mean US, China, Russia and Germany, right? Then arm imports. So India remains the world's 2nd largest importer of the armed forces. But one thing you should understand, in the previous report, it was the Saudi Arabia. This report, it is the Ukraine, which is the largest importer, right? Because of the Russia-Ukraine war going on. Clear? Then you have the Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Pakistan. Okay, and these 5 accounted for some 35% of the global imports of the arms. Okay, now risk flagged by CIPRI. There are few risks. First of all, it has that nuclear conventional entanglement is growing overlap between the nuclear states in especially Indo-Pacific. For example, you have US, China, India and North Korea. This is one of the issue. Proliferation of multiple independent targeted re-entry vehicles. Clear? So few things what you have to understand. Demating doctrine of India, right? That is, according to the report, India is no more following it. There's some 12. Second, there's an increase in nuclear arsenal of India. And also, India is the 5th largest spender and the 2nd largest importer. Clear? This is there. Consider the following statement regarding the CIPRI Yearbook 2026. India's nuclear stockpile was estimated at around 190 warheads by early 2026, right? Now, Pakistan arsenal was estimated to be larger than that of India. No, it is 170, India's 190. CIPRI observed that India appears to be moving towards deploying warheads on active launches. This is correct. As per CIPRI, this is correct. Answer would be 1 and 3. Okay, which of the following observations regarding the India were highlighted in the CIPRI yearbook? India remains the world's 5th largest military spender, correct. India is the world's 2nd largest importer, correct. India's military expenditure increased by 8.9% of the previous year. All 3 are correct. Answer would be 1, 2 and 3. Okay, Project Glasswing access to India. Let me summarize it for you. So there's a US AI company, Anthropic, Claude AI, you might have aware of. So they have a system. This is called Glasswing. Okay, so this Glasswing would give opportunities. Okay, testing environment in order to check and promote to find and to strengthen the cyber vulnerabilities of a country. Means you can, because we know AI and machine learning is increasing, so the cyber attack, cyber warfare will change as well. So in order to be prepared before this happens, this Glasswing has given access to India as well. Now with this, Government of India can ensure what are the vulnerabilities in its critical infrastructure. Okay, that is there. For example, it is the most capable of identifying critical software vulnerabilities at scale, potentially reshaping the cyber attacker-defender balance. Before somebody attacks, we have to increase our defend, and that defend is nothing but Project Glasswing. However, due to some issues, initially, United States government has banned it to be used for other countries. However, that ban has been lifted now. India has accessed it. Apart from that, institutional reforms, which are proposed strategic roadmap for India, what India should do, India AI Safety Institute, to conduct rigorous red teaming of the frontier models. Okay, global alliances, a G20-led initiative, so that the developments of the AI should be good practice should be shared among the members. Infrastructure monetization, India must spend some 15,000 to 20,000 crore to protect cyber security infrastructures. Okay, and sovereign defensive AI, because we have seen the cloud has given for this time, but that was banned, that were restricted by US for some time. This may happen in later stage also. So India must develop a sovereign defensive AI system. This is very, very important, right? Now next, which of the following best describe the Project Glasswing? An international cyber security treaty system negotiated by the United Nations. A restricted and cybersecurity program of Anthropic providing vetted access to the advanced AI model for identifying software vulnerabilities. This is the correct statement, right? Fourth, S-400 squadron. So S-400 air defense mechanism, India has bought it from Russia. Total 5 were demanded, 3 were already there. 4th has recently came to India. It was delayed because of Russia and Ukraine war. 5th would be coming by 2027. Okay, this is given over here, and it is one of the part of Sudarshan Chakra initiative also, reflecting a dual track approach combining proven foreign systems and long-term self-reliant goal. Project Kusha, S-400 and other things are Akash Tir and other were the part of India's Sudarshan Chakra initiative. Okay, this is from here also. This is what you should understand. So what is S-400 Triumph? It is a long-range surface-to-air missile system capable of engaging. This is same like that of Project Kusha. That was also a long-range surface-to-air missile defense system, right? Now Rudra M2 missile. DRDO and Indian Air Force successfully conducted flight test of the indigenous Rudra M2 Air-2 surface missile. That was surface-to-air. This is Air-2 surface missile being developed indigenously by Research Center Imarat, Hyderabad. Okay. Now, also DRDO tested multi-layered ballistic missile defense capability, and with this multi-layered ballistic defense, okay, it has targets including capability to counter intercontinental ballistic missiles. The places India is among the elite nations processing ballistic missiles defense technology. So India has become the part of that core group. Okay, the system incorporates the latest technologies to address emerging missile threats, right? Because we know when the Iran-US war, Iran has hit a missile towards the Diego Garcia as well. So these threats are real now. So for that we have a ballistic missile defense capability as well. Okay. Now, first batch of NDA trained women cadets, commissioned and officers, you must have aware that there was Supreme Court judgment, right, in 2021-2022, which stated that in order to ensure the equality, the women should be given the permanent permanent services in the NDA also. After that, the first time women officers were joining the forces directly with a permanent commission rather than starting with a short service commission. Okay, previously after the 14 years of services, women can ask for a permanent commission, but now they're starting with it more like that of male counterparts. Okay, all this came after the order of Supreme Court in 2021, and they were started 2022, and now in 2026 they will be getting their commission after the Antim Pak, that is the final step at the NDA Pune is completed. Okay, let's see the question. First batch of NDA trained women officer. They are the first women officer to join the armed forces directly with the permanent commission. Correct. The first batch joined the NDA Defense Academy in 2022 because they were the first batch after the Supreme Court judgment. They were commissioned into all three services. Yes, that is correct. Answer would be 1, 2, and 3. Right. Some appointments. Just remember the names. New Chief of Army Staff. It is Lieutenant General Dheeraj Seth, who will be replacing General Upendra Dwivedi, right? Then Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, appointed as a military advisor to the NCSA. This is the first time a serving military officer has been held this post. Okay, and the Army, Indian Army raises BAS battalions. What are the BAS battalions? So basically they are the dedicated battalions in that is drone management. Okay, so remotely piloted aircraft capabilities. Abhi tak what was the issue? That every battalion is operating their own drones separately. Now these BAS battalions will have a specialization in the operating of drones and also the counter drone operations, right? So they will complement the operations that would be there. They have also used in LIC standoff China and drones on the Operation Sindoor. For example, there's a difficult terrain, right? So before sending the soldiers, we can send the drones, and for that purpose Government of India want to have a specialized team that is known as BAS battalion. That's all. Next Chief of Army Staff is Lieutenant General Dheeraj Seth. Okay, BAS battalions, they are being raised based on the lessons from the recent LAC standoffs with the China. They seek to centralize drone capabilities to provide real-time intelligence to frontline units. Okay, primary role is to strategic airlift and logistic support. So answer would be 1 and 2 because logistic support is not. It is just for the operational of drones. Clear? Now, next we will be moving to the environment and geography part. Let's see one by one. Potato patch coral. Please remember that this is a giant Pavona clovis colony near the Kadmat Island. Remember this place is in news in the Lakshadweep area. So this is some around 700 to 1800 years old, very old, and it's a large dome shape or mound-like colonies. Okay, and grow at shallow depths between 5 meters to 20 meters under the surface of the water. They are formed as a result of centuries of calcification by the coral polyps, and it is very much resilient, and some around 58% of the colony is still alive after the some 700 to 1800 years after that. Okay, so this about this recently in the Kadmat Island, it is in Lakshadweep. It belongs to the species Pavona clovis. This is correct. It is estimated to be announced among the oldest living coral colonies in the Indian Ocean region. This is correct. It grows naturally at the depth exceeding 100 meters. So not 100 meters, it is shallow water, right? So it is 5 meters to 20 meters. So this is an incorrect statement. Answer will be 1 and 2 only. Next is Turquoise Network Initiative. Turquoise Network Initiative is that agriculture, that means food plus water scarcity should go hand in hand. This is under the leadership of Turkey. Okay, so climate resilient agriculture, adaptation of planning and enhancement food security involves stakeholders like government, FAO, international organization to research and to get it to the fields also. It is built on the Sharm el Sheikh joint work on agriculture and food security, right? So you please remember this Turquoise initiative is related to the food, water and climate. Clear? Regarding the Turquoise Network Initiative, another question is that it built upon a Sharm el Sheikh joint work on agriculture and food. That is correct. It seeks to integrate food systems into nationally determined contribution. This is correct. Right? It has been proposed under Turkey's presidency of COP31. This is also correct. Answer would be all three are correct. Now, arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. Please remember, this is very important. This is known as the Earth's hidden wood wide web. Okay, so they have a very large colonies. Okay, they are all with the symbiotic relations with the 70% of the territorial plant species. How? Plant provide carbon compounds to this, and this will provide water, phosphorus, nitrogen, and other nutrients. Okay, so these are symbiotic relations between the two. Which of the following best describes arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi? So it is symbiotic for fungi forming underground hyphal network with the plant roots. Answer would be B. Okay, Surhatal, this is the 100th Ramsar site in the state of UP, 100 Ramsar site in India. This Surhatal is in UP. Okay, also known as Jayaprakash Narayan Bird Sanctuary. So please remember this name, right? With this, Total Ramsar sites in UP is 13. Please tell me in the comment box which state has the highest number of Ramsar sites in India. Okay. Now see Suratal, it is a natural freshwater oxbow lake, that is correct, near the confluence of Ganga and Ghagra river system. This is correct, Ganga and Ghagra river system. It became India's 100th Ramsar site. This is also correct. Answer would be 1, 2 and 3. Now Namo Oxygen Park. Namo Oxygen Park, basically they just want to increase the green forest cover. So the urban green spaces totaling 100 developed to increase the green cover in Delhi, improve air quality and enhance the urban biodiversity, right? So involves a 15 lakh tree to be planted under the mission of Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam. This is a campaign, that is one tree for the mother was there, and in this they have tried to promote the green spaces in the urban areas, especially nearby Delhi. Okay, other initiatives is like Delhi Bird Atlas and management plans for Asola Bhatti Wildlife Sanctuary, and also working plan for NCT Delhi, that is released, right? The recently launched Namo Oxygen Parks primarily aims to increase urban green cover and improve water quality. So answer would be B. Okay. Now another news is that glacial lake expansion in Arunachal Pradesh. Clear? There are 5 studied high-risk glacial lakes in Arunachal Pradesh. Out of them, 4 are at very high risk of glacial lake outburst flow. Why? Increasing risk of glacial lake outburst, flood hazards, and the role of climate change. Why? There are 2 reasons. First of glacial retreat. Second is global warming. Clear? And if you see the Mago Chu basin of the Tawang district, where 3 of the lakes were already categorized as very high risk or very high risk by the NDMA. That is there. Glacial retreat and the rising temperature are the primary causes of this expansion. Highest expansion was in Sanhapo Lake, expansion of nearly 10 hectares, followed by a Dharkaso Lake. Clear? So please remember the name of these lakes. This could be asked in the prelims examination and for mains examination. Remember the causes which led to the expansion of glacial lakes, because we know the Kedarnath tragedy that had happened is because one of the example of glacial lake outburst floods. Okay. So consider the following statements regarding the glacial lakes studied in the Mago Chu basin. 4 out of the 5 studied expanded between 2016 to 2026. That is correct. That means more studies are required, more surveillance is required, and early warning system has to be placed so that in case of any issues, we can save the life and property of the people. Clear? Glacial retreat and increased meltwater accumulation contributed to their expansion. When there is a retreat of glacial because of the increasing temperature, the water would be increased because of melting of glaciers will lead to increase the volume of water, right? Sanhapo Lake recorded the maximum expansion among the studied lakes. That is also correct. Answer would be 1, 2 and 3. Right. So the next is Bovista colorata mushroom. So it's a yellow puffball mushroom, and it is documented by ICAR in Arunachal Pradesh, Ding districts. Okay. So that is there. What is this about? It's a bright yellow color and round puffball shape. It grows in meadows, grassland, and open fields. They are important decomposer, breakdown, and dead organic matter. Okay, so recently in the news, Bovista colorata is a yellow puffball mushroom. It is not a coral fungus, it is a yellow puffball mushroom. Clear? Now, biomimicry. This is in news because now what is happening, the people, innovators, scientists, and industry, what they're trying to do, rather than simply copy pasting the nature, they are learning that how nature adapts to different things. Okay, so in order to promote innovation, for example, this idea was popularized by Janine Benyus in the late 1990s. For example, Kingfisher and the Japanese bullet train. The design of the Japanese bullet train engine, the front bogie, is based on the Kingfishers. So they are replicating how Kingfisher enters water with a minimal splash. Because when the bullet trains of the Japan, they used to enter into the tunnel, there was a large scale sound used to be there, and it was very disturbing. So they learn it from the Kingfisher. This is known as biomimicry. Clear? Shark skin microscopic patterns prevent bacterial growth. Squid skin inspired smart windows. So these are some of the examples of biomimicry. You may get it in the exam. Which one of the following best describe the concept of biomimicry? Replication of the natural ecosystem for wildlife conservation? No. An innovation approach that applies nature's design and processes to solve the challenges. This is the answer. All right. Now, new fish survival test rules for caustic soda industry wastewater. Now, there are new rules in place. What you need to do, it is not just about the chemical composition anymore. Clear? What they need to do is bioassay based monitoring. That means that means now it must be tested on the fish to determine whether it remains toxic to aquatic life or not. Okay, so they will have a sample, there will be a fish. If the fish survives, that means it is not toxic, they can release it. If it is not, they have to further do some work over it. This bioassays evaluate the actual ecological impact of wastewater rather than just its chemical composition. Clear? This is a better approach. So the limits, it's like pH range should be between the range of 6.5 to 8.5. Chloride limit 250 mg per liter. This is not required for you to mug up. Just understand there are some new rule which try to impose better sanctions in order to save the this water bodies in India. Okay, the regulation encourage adoption of membrane cell technology and reduce dependence on the older mercury-based process. Clear? Caustic soda industry. It is for the paper and pulp industry, pharmaceutical, chemicals, textile, and water treatment. For this purpose, this is used. Right? Now, the recently introduced fish survival test under the Environment Protection Rule is primarily intended to assess the ecological toxicity of treated industrial effluent. Right? This is known as bioassay. Okay. Now, other thing is that there's a development project is going on Nicobar, right? So for that there's a coral translocation is taking place. Why? The construction of the proposed international container transshipment terminal in Galathea Bay. The corals are being relocated by the Geological Survey of India to nearby sites to mitigate ecological damage from the mega structure project. That is, development and sustainability should go hand in hand. Clear? The removal of live coral colonies from one location to reattaching them to another suitable site for protecting them from destruction due to ports, coastal infrastructure, dredging, etc. Clear? So the corals will be translocated to 4 new sites of the west coast of Nicobar. Each colony will be GPS tagged and monitoring for the survival. Clear? Now, coral reef translocation refers to artificial breeding of the corals in deep sea laboratories. No. Removal of the live coral colonies from one location to reattaching them with the other suitable sites. Clear? Consider the following statements regarding the coral translocation projects in Great Nicobar. It is associated with the proposed international container transshipment terminal at Galathea Bay. That is correct. Around 16,000 coral colonies along with giant clams are proposed to be relocated. That is correct. Each relocated will have a GPS tagged and GPS tag for monitoring. Answer will be 1, 2, and 3. Right? Then we have another festival from the Tripura Global Pineapple Festival. So what government is trying to do, there is a mission Queen Pineapple. Queen Pineapple is a variety of the pineapple which is very rich in antioxidants. Okay, and export is mainly due to the country of UAE and Bangladesh. Now government of India wants to promote it. Okay, so for that there will be hosting Global Pineapple Festival 2026 in New Delhi by the Tripura government. Okay, so now let's see mission Queen Pineapple. It is a 3-year farm to market program. It aims to increase export to the farmers' income. UAE and USA are the major export destination. No, it is not USA. It is UAE and Bangladesh. Clear? The answer would be only 2 are correct. Right? Recently, the Global Pineapple Festival organized to promote which GI tagged variety. It is the Queen Pineapple. Okay. Now, earthquake in Venezuela and seismic doublet. You know, there was a large-scale earthquake. Was there a loss of property and lives was devastating there. So 2 new earthquakes of magnitude 7.2, 7.5 was experienced in Venezuela. Right, the shallow focus earthquake. Generally, if the magnitude is very, very high, they are generally shallow focus earthquake. Where the hypocenter of the focus is very near to the surface of the earth. They are known as shallow focus earthquakes. Okay, so what happened? The tectonic setting of the Venezuela is that they along the boundary between the Caribbean plate and the South American plate. And this boundary is dominated by strike slip fault. That means they are the boundaries like this. They are just passing beneath one another, and that is why there is large scale friction over there. Okay, they are horizontally past one another. Clear? This is known as strike slip faults. So you might be remember that in, I guess in 2023 there was an earthquake in Turkey also. That is also this strike slip fault. Clear? Now, what is a doublet earthquake? Please remember a few things that you might have read about the P waves, then you have the S wave, and then you have the secondary waves like this. That is how the earthquake, these waves reaches to the surface of the earth. So P wave, S wave, and surface wave. Doublet is not the aftermath of the same earthquake. Okay, this is not like, okay, first P wave, you experience the P wave, then we experience the S wave, so we are saying it is a doublet. It is not like that. Okay, it refers to the 2 large earthquakes of comparable magnitude that occurs close together in both time and location but are separate seismic events, right? This is one thing you should clearly understand. For example, this is the epicenter. The first we will be able to get the P wave, then we will be experiencing the S wave, and finally there will be the surface wave. So these all are the outcome of one single seismic event. That is why these are not doublet. What doublet is that? Because of this earthquake, okay, because of this earthquake, there is another earthquake. Because of this earthquake, there is another earthquake. So that means these two are separate earthquakes, which is known as doublet. However, they are like occurred in a very short span of time. Clear? So example is 2023 Turkey Syria earthquakes were also a doublet earthquake. They are very rare instances. They are not very frequent. Okay, but this Venezuela and Turkey are the two examples. Clear? So you should please remember these parts. Which one of the following describes a seismic doublet? Two earthquakes occurring on opposite sides of the same tectonic plate. No, it is not like that. It will always be on the same tectonic plate. Clear? Two earthquakes of comparable magnitude occurring close together in the time and location as separate seismic event. This is the correct statement, right? Seismic doublets, again, they are caused by stress transfer from one fault to nearby fault or fault segment. What will happen? Suppose there is an hypocenter, right? So there's a release of energy. This release of energy will further shake this center, which was about to break down. So because of this, there's another earthquake like this. This is called a doublet. So this is separate, this is separate, but because of the stress, this is correct. They account for majority of the major earthquakes. No, the 2023 Turkey Syria earthquakes are cited as an example of seismic doublet. Answer would be 1 and 3 only. Clear? Then we have Bharat Climate Observation Network, Indian Institute of Meteorology, Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observation Sciences has signed an MOU that they will establish a Bharat Climate Observation Network monitoring station in the Himalayan region in Uttarakhand. So there is a place called Devasthal near Nainital in Uttarakhand, which is a part of Mission Mausam, under which they will be establishing a center over there, right? What is the purpose? Meteorological parameters like temperature, rainfall, humidity, wind, climate, active trace gases, and short-lived climate forces, they will be checking on it. Why Devasthal is chosen? It is a relatively pristine atmosphere. Himalayas are particularly important, very sensitive to climate change and influence common Indian monsoon system, river flows and everything. So that is why they have established a center over there, so that we should get the data in time and we can take the appropriate steps also. Clear? So the Bharat Climate Observation Network has been established primarily for, so it would be developed for long-term high precision national climate monitoring framework. Clear? Now, consider the following statements regarding the Bharat Climate Observation Network. The first monitoring station is being established at Devasthal in Himachal Pradesh. Okay, the initiative forms as a part of Mission Mausam. It will monitor greenhouse gases, short-lived climate forces, and atmospheric chemistry. Right? So this is not the very first. Answer would be only 2. Now, long break in the arrival of monsoon. You know that we have this year the monsoon winds are not as expected, and there is a long break. Break means when there is a huge gap between the rainfall in the monsoon, which is known as monsoon break. So there are 5 factors, which this could be a mains question also. You can remember El Nino. So El Nino is a condition developed over the equatorial Pacific Oceans, and it weakens the Walker circulation. Walker circulation, Peruvian coast, Australian coast, rise of wind, and so if this Walker cell is weak, there will be weak monsoon in India as well. This is known as El Nino event, and this time we have the Super El Nino year. Weak Madden-Julian oscillation. Madden-Julian oscillation is a eastward moving cloud which brings moisture cloud rainfall in the tropics. And because these were weeks, these clouds were not came to the tropics, and there was a slow weak monsoon in India also. Dry westerly winds from the western part of India, the dry winds from the West Asia adjoining regions intruded into the northwest region, and because there were dry winds, they just wiped off the clouds and the moisture from the atmosphere, and because the moisture was sucked up by these winds, there was no cloud formation, there was no rainfall. Also, there is a weak Somali jet stream. It's a strong low-level cross-equatorial jet stream over the Arabian Sea. It brings the moisture from South Indian Ocean to India. Because it was also weak, there was a not very high monsoon in India. Right? Neutral Indian Ocean dipole. We know the positive Indian Ocean dipole supports the favorable. For the strong monsoon in India, negative Indian Ocean dipole is weak, and this time it is neutral. Clear? So, but after this, there's a recovery of the monsoon due to the strengthening of Somali jet and favorable low pressure system developed over Bay of Bengal. There are rainfalls in the several part of the country. Clear? Which of the following was not identified as a factor responsible for the prolonged break in the advance? So, weak Somali jet, yes. Neutral, yes. Strong MJO, yes. Strong MJO, it is not. It is a weak MJO, right? So, answer would be C. This would be the correct answer. Now, climatic factor effect on El Nino weakens Walker cell. Yes, weak Somali jet reduces moisture transport over the Arabian Sea. Positive Indian Ocean dipole can offset adverse effect of the El Nino. This is also correct because positive Indian Ocean dipole means a stronger monsoon. Clear? So it says all are correctly matched. Now, non-methane hydrocarbons. You please remember, if the compounds are made up of hydrogen and carbon, okay, they are known as hydrocarbons. If we remove it, the methane from this community, this is known as non-methane hydrocarbons. Okay, for example, butane, propane. Okay, these are some of the examples, indicating the presence of these pollutants even in the remote Himalayan regions. Major sources, natural bhi hota hai, anthropogenic bhi hota hai, but the major issues is because of the anthropogenic causes. Major causes are like vegetation. Plants, in order to save themselves from the stress like that of heat, temperature, they release isoprene, which is the non-methyl hydrocarbons. Okay, so they are natural, but there's a very minute quantity. Some marine ecosystems also contribute to this, but major issues is because of the anthropogenic causes. For example, vehicular emission, industrial and petrochemical initiative, biomass and solvent used for fuel evaporation. Because of this, now these are found in the Himalayan belts also. That means this is no more limited to the urban areas only. Because of this, with wind they are moving to the different parts, and that is a problem. Now, why there is a problem? You see, they react with the nitrogen oxide under sunlight to produce this volatile organic compounds. Okay. Now, these volatile organic compounds, they react with OH. What is OH? OH, assume it like a detergent of atmosphere. Okay, so this is with which atmosphere used to clean itself. Okay, so this OH, this will react with the pollutant will break down and it will suddenly settle, right? But because of this NOx will weaken OH. Okay, and because of this, atmosphere will not be able to clean itself. Hence, it will have a huge impact on the atmospheric chemistry. I hope this is clear. Okay, which of the following best describes non-methane hydrocarbons? So it is atmospheric hydrocarbons excluding methane that constitute relatively reactive subset of volatile organic compounds. Answer would be B. Okay, now consider the following statements regarding non-methane hydrocarbons. They react with nitrogen oxides in the presence of sunlight to form ground level ozone. They are photic because, okay, it is in the presence of sunlight. They contribute to the formation of secondary organic aerosols. They enhance the atmosphere's self-cleaning capacity by increasing hydroxyl radicals. This is incorrect because they destroy the hydroxyl radicals, and that is why atmospheric cleaning reduces. Okay, so answer would be 1 and 2 only. Now, omega block and European heat wave. You can see this is a jet stream, basically meandering Rossby waves, and this looks more like a omega, a Greek word. That is why it is known as omega block and European heat waves. So basically, it is a result of human-induced climate change and atmospheric phenomena called omega block. What happened? There was in Europe, you must see the temperature reaches up to 18 degrees centigrade above seasonal averages in some region. You might have seen the videos circulating on the social medias. Right? What is omega block? It is a persistent atmospheric circulation pattern in which a strong high pressure system becomes trapped between the two low pressure systems. Now, because this wind is not able to trap, it will come down, it will further become more and more warm, and because of this there is a high heat wave in this area, because this heat wind is not able to trap from west to east, which is a normal phenomena. So this heat is trapped over here, and there will be large scale heat waves in this area. Clear? The pattern blocks the normal west to east movement to weather system, allowing the same weather phenomena for a longer period of time. So with little movements of air masses, hot air remains trapped over the affected region, intensifying the prolonged heat wave condition. That is one of the reason the omega block was in news. Okay. Previously, 2 years, 3 years back, the same phenomena was witnessed in the USA, which was known as heat dome. This time you have omega block. Clear? So please remember this term. You may be finding this in exam. The omega block recently seen in the news refers to a persistent atmospheric circulation patterns in which a strong high pressure system becomes trapped between the two low pressure systems. You can see low pressure 1, low pressure system 2, and this is the high pressure system trapped in between. Clear? So answer would be B. Consider the following statement regarding the omega block. It blocks the normal west to east movement of the weather system. That is correct. It intensifying the prolonged heat wave condition. That is correct. It's characterized by the continuous cloud cover and widespread rainfall. This is incorrect because this wind is trapped over here, so there will be no clouds. Clear? and that is why if there's no cloud, solar heating would be intensive as well, which will also contribute to the heat waves into this region. So answer would be 1 and 2 only. Right? There's some species in news. So we have greater Hog badger. Kaziranga National Park has released the first scientific report of the greater hog badger, which is largely terrestrial, native to Southeast Asia. Here, please remember it is an omnivorous species, duration Northeast India along with some parts of West Bengal as well. It is nocturnal in nature and solitary species. Okay, because it is a burrow digging, it helps in soil aeration and nutrient redistribution. IUCN status vulnerable, WPA 1972 Schedule 1. Significant development is with Mishmi takin. It is spotted in Sikkim. After nearly 3 decades, after 30 years, we have discovered it in Sikkim. It is a goat antelope species found in eastern Himalayas, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, and globally found in India, Tibet, and Myanmar. Okay, vulnerable, Appendix 2 in CITES, Schedule 1 in the WPA 1972. Now, this is something, a very sad news, and white-rumped vulture. A radio-tagged white vulture that was released in the Madhumalai Tiger Reserve, Nilgiri Hills, is died of electrocution because of this high tension wires in the area. These are native to South Asia and Southeast Asia. Habitat is open plains and field, scrublands and grassland across the non-Himalayan Indian states. You can see IUCN status is critically endangered. So please remember this fact. CITES Appendix 2 WPA Schedule 1. Okay. Now consider the following statement regarding a great hog badger. It is a territorial mustelid native to Southeast Asia. Correct. It is primarily herbivorous. No, this is omnivorous. It listed as a vulnerable. This is correct. Answer would be 1 and 3 only. Which of the following describes the Mishmi takin, a wild sheep endemic to Western Ghats? No, a large goat antelope found in the eastern Himalayas is the correct option. Third statement, which one of the following is the correct conservation status of the white-rumped vulture? So it is critically endangered, right? Now we are moving to the last section of today's. It is awards, personalities in news. So please remember, Bimal Patel elected ITLOS judge. Remember the name only. Okay, and the ITLOS, it established by 1982 United Nations Convention on the Laws of the Sea, headquartered in Germany. Clear? Presently, the current vice president is Neeru Chadda of the legal luminary. Remember these names. Recently, Bimal Patel has been elected as a judge of the International Tribunal of the Law of the Seas. Right? Consider the following statements with regard to the International Tribunals for the Law of the Sea, ITLOS. So it is established under the 1982 United Nations Convention in the Law of the Sea, headquartered in Hamburg, Germany. 21 independent judges elected the state parties to the UN clause. All 3 are correct. Answer would be 1, 2, and 3. Clear? Then we have the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puruskar. So it is the highest civilian honor for children given annually by the president on Veer Bal Divas, 26th December, that is celebrated. Okay, and it is to commemorate the sacrifice of the Sahibzada Zorawar Singh and the Sahibzada Fateh Singh, the children of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Right, the award is celebrated in the 6 categories, that is bravery, social service, environment, sports and art and culture, science and technology. Each award receives a medal and a certificate. Okay. This is organized by Ministry of Women and Child Development. Remember this name, Ministry of Women and Child Development. Eligibility must be an Indian citizen residing in India also. So it is not for NRIs. It is not for NRIs. Clear? Should be 5 to 18 years of the age. Clear? Should not have previously received the award and should have achieved the recognized recognition within 2 years preceding the nomination deadline. That means the act should be within 2 years. After that, it is not allowed. With reference to Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puruskar, consider the following statements. Presented annually by the President of India on the Veer Bal Divas, highest civilian honor for the children in India, administered by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Answer will be 1, 2, and 3. Right? With this, I conclude this session. Thank you very much. Have a good day.